Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to announce that I will be hosting a new interactive masterclass. The future of education is in crisis. This masterclass takes place this Friday, November 27th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please be sure to register here. Now, my mission is to transform education. And during this open house, you will learn about the problems with our current education system, as well as the constantly evolving solutions that are available, and what you can do right now to best prepare yourself for the future that you desire. Now, if you've ever heard me talk about the Haroun Education Ventures MBA degree program and wondered what it would be like to be one of my students, then I invite you to join me on Friday, November 27th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for this special live event interactive masterclass. Now, everybody attending will receive a free course of mine that I just released about finance and how to save a fortune. It's easy to do. Just for showing up, you're going to get some of my best stuff. Additionally, I will be giving away one scholarship for gold, one scholarship for platinum of my MBA degree program, and a one-on-one call with me, where I can help you with anything related to getting a job, starting a business, getting promoted, and a lot more. You will experience the learning, the interaction, and most importantly, the fun. I guarantee you that this signature talk will be edutaining, meaning educational and entertaining. None of your questions will go unanswered, and I promise you will walk away with plenty of practical value that you can put to use right away. Trust me, you don't want to miss this awesome event, and I can't wait to see you there. Thank you. Welcome to our 115th weekly webcast. If this is the first time you've joined us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way the call works is it's 3 hours long. I answer business questions, personal questions, career questions. This is an AMA like you see on Reddit, which means ask me anything. And within 24 hours of this call being completed, my staff goes into the description field of this YouTube video and enters in the times and the question titles so that you can click and get immediate access to the answers to questions that you ask me that I try to humbly answer. So without further ado, let's begin, and thank you as always. The first question here is from Usama, who, wow, you entered this in at 3:30 a.m. Thank you for getting up so early for this, or late, depending on where you are in the world. And so Usama wrote, hi Chris, hope all is well. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's session. And I salute you on the initiative for Rwanda. Amazing work, and you're an inspiration for many. Thank you. Thank you, Usama. I really appreciate that. And so what Usama is referring to is a course that I just released with one of my amazing students named Vital. And Vital's originally from Rwanda. His life story is so inspiring to me. And I actually met him at a Udemy Live event in Berlin last year, and we decided to make a course together, and all the proceeds go to charity. You know what I'll do actually is I'm actually gonna play that video. I've got it right here, and then we'll resume with questions. So here's a little bit more about that course that we just published, and I'll tell you how you can get that course. All proceeds go to charity in a second. Thanks. So Vital and I are going to collaborate on what we call Project Magoo. And Magoo is the name of the village that he's from originally. And what we're going to do is we're going to leverage online education to provide scholarships and full access to all business and personal development courses by January 1st of 2021 to 100 students in his hometown. And Vital's story is so inspiring. He inspires me so much. Do you want to share your story?
So the story is how I grew up in that village called Magoo. So it's a village with no access to electricity, no access to internet, no access to infrastructure. And I got a chance to go to study primary, secondary, and university. And so many kids in my age mate, they didn't get a chance to get that education. And so when we met Chris, because he's so much passionate about education, and so I was sharing with this my story with him, and he asked me one question like, if you would be given time, what would you do? What are you passionate about? So I shared that my passion is to give back to that village specifically, because I know that they don't have, they don't have access to that high quality education. And so that's how the idea came, like, okay, giving back to that village through education. And so, that's the background. And so I grew up in that village and went to university and made it to university, to master's degree in Germany. And I have just a heart to give back to that.
Together, we believe that every problem in the world can be solved with a combination of education and technology. And we're going to make it happen together. And we're going to create a blueprint, a business plan, so to speak, based on Project Magoo, so that anybody in the world can apply what we've learned to provide online education to every student in the world.
Even in those villages like mine.
And so I'd really appreciate your support, and so would Vital as well. Now, every dollar that my students or anybody spends on that course, the French version of an MBA course that Vital just put together with a little bit of help from myself and my staff, every dollar you spend on that, I will match dollar for dollar. So if you spend $10 in that course, all proceeds go to charity. I'll also donate $10, and that lasts through this weekend. And it's the only coupon I sent out over the past week. So in order to get that course, let me show you how to do it and which coupon to use. Okay. So what you do is you go over to Udemy. Just do a search for my name and Udemy, and go to my profile page. And then once you're there, what you can do is go to the bottom, click number 4. And then here's the course right here. And so you click it here. Again, it was just released. And what you can do is you can click Buy Now. And the code to use, you'll probably get $9.99 anyway. And even if you don't use my code, I'm going to match you dollar for dollar to donate. But the code to use, if you don't see $9.99 here, is _build, all in caps, _build, _schools. Build schools, _build, _schools. It's exciting. It's the most exciting thing I've done professionally in my life. And I'm really humbled to be a part of it. We're going to build mini schools. And then what we're going to do, and for those of you interested in my long-term thesis on how to fix all problems in the world using technology, education, and acceptance, that's TEA, technology, education, and acceptance. You can watch my TEDx talk I gave a number of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And in that TEDx talk, I talked about my vision of the world, of using low orbiting satellites to provide free access in the long run to every person in the world, every student in the world, in every school. And so I think that with great power comes great responsibility. And I'm referring to our space pioneers, Sir Richard Branson, as well as Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. I believe that since they're really focused on space, they need to find a way to provide free internet access to people in remote villages all over the world. And I will be contacting Elon Musk at some point. I've never met him before. I've met Bill Gates a number of times before, and I'm going to get Bill and Melinda involved at some point. to help us as well. And so what we're doing first is we're building a computer science building with solar on the roof in Magoo, which is Vital's hometown in Rwanda. And then we're going to have one person administer that full time to provide access to online courses for free for students. And we'll have computers, tablets, etc. I will make a lot of mistakes. I promise you, not Vital, it'll be me. I'll learn a lot from my mistakes so that we can do it again, rinse, lather, repeat until we have a gazillion schools built. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So it's going to be fun. Once our blueprint is created, and Vital is an engineer too. Otherwise, this wouldn't really be possible. So he understands solar and all that great stuff, satellites as well. So once we get it all done, and I have a business plan written, and after I make my many mistakes, then we're going to try and deploy it globally because I'm so humbled by what Malala did. Standing up to the Taliban and demanding equal rights to education for women. She's amazing. She's incredible. And I believe that instead of sending troops overseas to fight wars we can't win and understand, I believe that society changes from within. And my vision of the world is that you have millions of Malalas rising up in every country and teaching and changing society from within. And so I'm just so blessed to be a part of this online education secular growth story. I made a ton of mistakes. And by the way, if any of you want to teach online, it's a great side hustle. I have a couple of courses that teach you how to teach online based on mistakes I've made. And the way to get those free courses of mine is you can go over here to Udemy, or just search for my name in Udemy. And then go here to my course page. And I published a couple courses on how to teach online based on many mistakes I've made. One of them is called 40 Tips on How to Teach an Online Course. And another one is called Another 40 Tips on How to Teach an Online Course. And so right here, this is the first one I made. And then I have another one, which is about 5 hours. And I have a bunch of different language versions as well. So there's two courses of mine for free. There's the 40 tips on how to make a great online course, and then another 40 tips on how to make a great online course. So those are 80 tips that I provide you with based on the gazillions of mistakes I've made teaching online. And everybody has something to teach. Everybody does. If you're not sure if there's something for you to teach, then what I want you to do is just search for that topic on Udemy, because millions of people have already done it. They've already taught course. And by the way, if you want to teach business courses, what I recommend you do is go to my courses on Udemy and look at the reviews, and only look at the 1-star reviews. Those are the worst reviews. There's tons of them for me. And find out why people criticize my courses, and then make better versions of my courses. It's part of educational Darwinism. I believe that the student wins this way. And if I can humbly help you on your journey to creating courses, that's why I'm here, because we're all in this together. Thank you. Okay. Next up, Usama is saying, I might not be able to attend today's session live, but I'll watch it later on. Good luck. Thank you, Usama. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Pratik is saying, hi, Chris. I hope all is well. Likewise. My question for today is, how can I get accepted at top U.S. universities with scholarships, as only 5 to 6 students get it every year? How can I be among the 5 to 6 students? Yeah, it's a great question. So I think that in business and in life, relationships are more important than product knowledge, and your network is your net worth. And I believe that you can accomplish anything you want in business and in many aspects of your life by networking and networking aggressively. And so I want you to go to my website, please, and download this book for free. My website is harounventures.com. I have a book here on networking. It's a couple hundred pages based on my many years. I'm an old man now of networking and raising money and changing careers and getting customers and stuff. And there's a couple hours of YouTube links as well in this book. Again, it's free. Get it from my website. I promise you it can help you. And so the first thing I would focus on is just get accepted to whatever your dream school is. And then after you get accepted, then look into scholarships that the school provides. And then if after you've exhausted all those resources, if unfortunately, if you can't get that scholarship, then I want you to network and find high net worth people around the world that donate to educational causes. There's tons of them. Don't think that the only scholarships you can get are the ones that are listed on the website for a given school. There are lots of educational charities that might be able to help you out as well. And if you try that and it still doesn't work, let me know, and I will personally walk through walls for you, and I will personally help you network until you meet somebody that can do that. I walk through walls for my students. I love my students passionately. They're my reason for being, my customers, etc. So I want to help you. Yeah. And if you can't get in to that school, let me know, and I'll give you a free coupon for every course I've ever made, and every course I ever will make. I want to help if I can. Yeah. And there's a great book if you want to read on how to write the best essay to get accepted to business schools or any schools for that matter. And that book, it's by a husband and wife team, and their last name is Carpenter. And the name of the book is Marketing Yourselves to the Top Business Schools. It's 150 pages. It's an oldie but a goodie. And although it says business schools, what they teach is applicable to every university on the planet when it comes to writing your personal statement and your essay. Yeah. And if you have additional questions about that, please let me know. And thanks as always. Okay. All right. Next up, Ray is saying, hey, Chris, hope you're okay. Likewise. I'm currently, and happy Thanksgiving, by the way, for anybody out there that celebrates Thanksgiving today. I hope you and your families are healthy and happy. So Ray wrote, I hope you're okay. I'm currently with COVID. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Ray. But towards the end, it wasn't scary at all. Okay, good. So you have COVID, and then you said it wasn't scary at all. Okay, and it's towards the end, which means you're getting over it. Great to hear. Yeah. What a crazy year it's been, eh? I hope your friends and family are okay as well. And then Ray wrote, how would you incentivize a CEO of a private company that is currently not profitable and perhaps will not be in the next 3 years? Yeah. So if it's a private company, hopefully your shareholders are also very, very long-term focused. The worst thing you can do is start a company and raise money from shareholders that expect, or high net worth investors that expect to turn a profit immediately. And so hopefully you have very, very patient investors that also serve on your board that are a prosthetic extension of the management team to the extent that they want to help the CEO that you mentioned here grow their business. And so the measure of a great board member, and when I used to serve on boards when I worked in venture capital, the measure of a great board member is whoever gets the first call from the CEO for help. It's competitive, and I love adding value. And so what I would do is I would have that CEO talk to board members and hopefully have investors help them through introductions to potential customers. All it takes, and you can tell this CEO that you're partnering with, that all it takes to make a private company work is one big reference customer. Because then you can name drop that customer if that customer lets you do so. That's all you need. Like with Hewlett-Packard, when Bill Hewlett and David Packard started the company, they had one customer, which was the Walt Disney Company. And they found that customer by networking because that dude at Disney also went to the same school they went to. But they marketed the heck out of the fact that Disney was that one big reference customer. And that's all you need to get other big customers potentially interested. I see it all the time with private companies, especially when it comes to the big banks. If one big bank signs up as a sandbox beta tester or an actual customer, the others tend to kick the tires and consider it as well. So that's what I would say. Last thing I'll say about incentivizing that CEO of a private company, I would say that failing to plan is planning to fail, and that most people that start companies, unfortunately, they don't write a business plan. And you can take my business plan course. You can go to Udemy's website and just do a search for my complete business plan course. It's 9 hours long, and by the end, you'll have written a 50 to 100 page business plan. And I provide you with literally 50 templates for the business plan and 25 templates for your 10-page slide presentation, which I also teach you how to do in that course. Again, it's called the Complete Business Plan course. You can get it on Udemy. As with all my courses, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Or if you want, you can sign up for my MBA degree program. And the next version of my program starts this December 14th, if you want to take it with live classes with me. And in the third of 4 semesters, you go through what's called my venture capital boot camp, as I've helped a lot of angel investment firms and venture capital firms, the who's who. You've heard of all of them, with investments. I've sat on the board of a company before at Sequoia. I've invested in companies affiliated with 500 startups. I've been to a lot of their events. I know how it works. And Tim Draper even had me come in and serve on panels at his company here. And so in my MBA degree program, in the third semester, in the first 5 classes of semester 3, there are 5 entrepreneurship classes where I put you through my venture capital boot camp as well. And for more details, what you can do is go to www.harounmba.com, or you can join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And I'll show you how to register for tomorrow's event, because I'm going to be giving away a bunch of free prizes. Actually, everybody attending is going to get a free course. And I'm also be giving away scholarships, 100% scholarships for my gold and platinum programs. So if you go to harounmba.com /masterclass, you can sign up for the event tomorrow. Okay, and I go into a lot more detail on what the MBA degree program is all about. I also talk about why education is in crisis and what the future of education is. And I humbly believe that that most universities are going to go belly up in our lifetime. Okay, and I'll explain that in more details. And so reserve your spot here. And also, if you want to learn more about the MBA program, then just go to www.harounmba.com right here. And then you can walk through the MBA program, what it's all about, and the 5 major topics that I discuss in the 300 plus hours of classes. Yeah, and all about it. So let me go through it quickly here, very, very fast. So there's 5 main sections. There's finance and accounting. These are sample classes here. Okay. It's based on my work experience, having worked at Goldman Sachs, having worked at hedge funds, the venture capital industry, the consulting industry, starting companies, sitting on boards, etc. The next track is entrepreneurship. And we do a lot of case studies. And right here, these are what I call the Traitorous 8. And these are 8 people that left a company called Shockley, and they started Fairchild Semiconductor. And out of Fairchild came Intel, NVIDIA, AMD, and tons of great companies. That's Andy Grove. God bless him. He passed away recently. We do case studies on lots of people. And then there's personal growth, where I teach you how to be much more productive and accomplish way, way more every single day. The next track here, and these are all required courses, is sales, marketing, and communications. I teach you how to use online platforms to market your company, and keep in mind that YouTube is the only gold rush in history where it costs you nothing to make the product. And YouTube is also the only gold rush in history where you have immediate access to billions of potential customers for free. And last one here is economics, management, and strategy. I teach you how the world works. I teach you about bonds. I teach you about interest rates, etc., in a fun way. And I humbly try my best to edutain as well. So you can check that out if you want more information there. And speaking of edutainment, my license plate. I guess I can use this. My license plate says edutain. Those are my kids there. Edutain. So I wear my heart in my sleeve, and I try to teach it in an engaging, fun way so that you learn by accident. So after each lesson, you're like, oh my gosh, I learned this. And there's no homework too. I mean, there's a tiny quiz after each class, but that's it. Yeah. If you don't learn in class, I don't think the teacher's doing a good job. Okay. All right, next question is there a stock screener based on Graham principles? Yeah. So, and for those of you not familiar with what Ray is asking, Benjamin Graham is a value investor, or was, God bless him. And Graham and Dodd wrote a book called The Intelligent Investor. And Warren Buffett, actually, he went to Columbia, which is the same school I went to, and he taught one of my classes there once. It was fun. He went to Columbia because those professors taught there. And when he came and he guest lectured in one of my classes back in 1999, I am that old, last century, his wife was there in class with us. God bless her. She's no longer with us. But she was teasing Warren Buffett because on their honeymoon, that was the only book he brought, The Intelligent Investor. So anyway, and I remember when Warren Buffett was there, somebody was pitching a tech stock to him. And he interrupted the student 30 seconds in. And this was December 1999. And Mr. Buffett said, son, he's very nice about it. He's a great communicator, which is one of the reasons why he's very successful. You never watch an interview with Buffett and afterwards ask yourself, God, I'm confused. He's a good communicator, like Bill Gates. But what Warren Buffett did was 30 seconds into that stock pitch, he said, son, I'm going to stop you right there because I don't understand where that company is going to be product cycle wise in 1 or 2 years. And so a lot of the students thought that, oh my gosh, Mr. Buffett is missing the tech boat because all tech stocks were rising. And then 3 months later, in March of 2000, the market peaked and then crashed, and we all thought he was a genius. Yeah. So in terms of how to screen for stocks that are value investments, there's many websites you can do so. But what I would look for, the gold standard for value investments is price to book. And what that means is this. So price to earnings means price divided by earnings. And that means for every $1 in earnings, how many times that $1 are people going to pay? And a lower PE is better. When it comes to value investments, they look at price to book, price divided by book, meaning for every $1, what the company is worth, if you liquidate the whole thing, how many times are people willing to pay that $1? And usually around 1 or below is a good indicator, as long as the rest of the company doesn't have issues. Sometimes stocks are cheap for a reason. So I would look at that. I'd also look for low price to earnings relative to growth. So what you would do is after you feel comfortable with the book value, you would look at price divided by earnings divided by the growth rate. I'll give you an example. So if a company is trading at 10 times earnings and is growing at 10%, then that means 10 over 10, which is a price to earnings to growth rate of 1, which is attractive. If a company is trading at a price to earnings ratio of 10 times and it's growing earnings at only 5%, then 10 over 5 is a price to earnings growth rate of 2 times, which means it's expensive, which is where a lot of hedge funds look to short that stock. And they look at other stuff as well, obviously. And so the bottom line is, for those of you not familiar with growth and value investing is what Buffett does, which means he likes to buy stocks that are cheap and probably not growing that fast. Growth investors, which is what I am actually, are people that like to buy expensive companies that are growing fast, but they're very cheap if you look at the earnings potential longer term. And a lot of people start off as value investors, which is how I started, because in school they tell you to buy cheap stuff. And then after a while, you can change. You have different tastes throughout your life. So for me, I changed to a growth investor because I worked in venture capital here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I love investing in companies that are growing very, very quickly. Okay. All right. Next up, questions from Ray. If you are successful in one sphere, but you want to change and start in another career like IT, would you conceal the previous success? Because if not, human resources executives will wonder how come you want to decrease your salary 5 times you wrote here. Yeah. I wouldn't hide anything. I would just maybe market yourself a little bit differently. And Ray, if you want to, if this is you and you want me to take a look at your LinkedIn profile live right here, I'm happy to do so. Just let me know. Now, you can't, YouTube doesn't let you enter in internet addresses. So what you can do is just enter in on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/in/your username. So just give me /in if you want, and I'll do a real review here of your LinkedIn profile. And for those of you that sign up for the platinum version of my MBA degree program, you get several hours of one-on-one time with me, all confidential. We do it in person if you want to, or over Zoom. And I literally write your LinkedIn profile for you live. Not my staff. I do it all because it's fun for me. Yeah. But what I would do is I would play to your strengths to show that you come from a different background. You know, a lot of people think that they have weaknesses on their resume or LinkedIn profile. They don't. Because if you spin it a certain way, if ethical, and if you're allowed to do so, you turn that weakness into a strength. For example, let's say that you mentioned here you want to go into IT, and beforehand you worked in the development of another product in another market. You can say that you learned best practices from developing or working in R&D on another product in another industry that you think that you can apply to the IT sector, given your differentiated approach, etc. Yeah. And you also want to articulate that you're very passionate about whatever industry it is you want to go into, to the extent that you don't see it as work. You just absolutely love it. You love it. And don't think that just because you're older, if you're older, or if anyone on the call is older, don't think you can't change careers. Because the beautiful thing is this. Since the 1950s, globally, the life expectancy has gone up by 26 years. And that means that you are 26 years younger than you think you are. So you can start over, starting today. If you're 49, you're actually 24. Yeah. If you're 51, you're 26. So you can start over. So how do you start over with respect to IT, which is what you mentioned here? Well, you can take so many courses online that cost you next to nothing by industry experts that are much better teachers than a lot of university professors. And so what I recommend doing is do a search on Udemy, okay? Angela Yu. I think she's the best teacher out there. She's great. And Angela, and I met her in Berlin last year. She's great. She's from England, which means she speaks gooder than me. She used to be a doctor, but she realized she's passionate about teaching and programming. And so you could take her courses. And her ratings are insanely high, and I will never get ratings this high. She runs circles around us. She's amazing. But if you want, you can learn how to create websites, basic ones like brochureware, and advanced ones as well, by taking her complete 2020 Web Development Bootcamp course here. Okay, it's 54 hours. Look, what a deal. It's unbelievable. I don't get brownie points for mentioning this. A lot of my courses suck. It's an algorithm on Udemy. A lot of my courses don't sell well, but hers all do, right? So you can take this course. You get a money-back guarantee. If you want to learn how to, create an app, an iOS app or Android apps as well, you can take her courses as well. She's amazing. She's amazing. And there's others too. There's lots of them. So go to udemy.com. They got a great sale going on now. It's a Black Friday sale. And if you're watching a replay of this, today is the 26th of November, 2019. But you can go here to all web development courses, data science, etc., and take great courses here. Another great teacher, a guy that mentored me years ago up in Cambridge, I went to go visit him, named Rob Percival, also has great courses here. We can all reinvent ourselves online from the comfort of our own home, and it's very affordable and accessible to do so. Okay, next question I've got is from Michael Young. Hey, Michael. Michael's saying, good morning, Chris. How are you? I'm great, thank you. And then Michael wrote, I hope your project Magoo goes well, and God bless you for helping people by giving them knowledge to make a better version of themselves. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Michael. And Vital and my staff as well have been working 24/7. Big shout out as well to Matt and Doug, two of my employees that have been working really hard with Vital on that. And if you want to learn more about Project Magoo, you can go here to projectmagoo.org. I don't have very much set up here. I just set this up here just now, a couple days ago, but we have a GoFundMe campaign as well. We're just getting started. We're just getting started. And thank you very much for your interest and for mentioning that. Yeah. Okay. And then you wrote, I hope Project Magoo goes well, and God bless you for helping people by giving them knowledge to make a better version of themselves. Thank you. We're all in this together. And God bless Vital for what he's doing as well. He's a good dude. Love that guy. Okay. And Michael wrote, my question for today is, do you think a company or an interviewer will care if I have a certificate from a Udemy course? And when do you think is the right time to show off certificates? Yeah, I think it matters big time. And so if we go back to the 1990s, I remember Microsoft had this service called Microsoft Developers Network, and you can get certification for taking courses on how to code back then with, say, C++ or SQL Server, which is their database product. And then Cisco, CSCO is a ticker, they did the same thing with a lot of networking courses. And so Udemy is similar to that as well. It can only help. It can only help. And it does help. And there's so many success stories of people that have taken courses on Udemy and have been able to change careers or get a salary bump or even start their own companies. So check it out. And I do recommend putting those certificates of completion on your profile on LinkedIn. Okay. Next up, we have Dario from Italy. I hope you're well, Dario. I hope you're doing great as well. Thank you. Manas, how are you? Manas is from India. He just published a book, which I bought and I profiled a couple weeks ago here. And by the way, if any of you want to write a book, all you have to do is this. And it's, if you want to get a job or customers, imagine walking into an interview and showing them your book. Who does that? And it's easy and it's free, and I'm going to show you how to do it as well. And a couple weeks ago, remember, I spilled coffee on this book, and so I got a sippy cup this week. I have a drinking problem, apparently. Yeah. But if you want, what you can do to download a template on how to make a book just like this, and tons of my students have done it, and I want all my MBA students to do it as well, please. The way to do it, and this is 6 inches by 9 inches, it's simple to do. If you can use Microsoft Word and a browser, you can do it. And here's how you do it. So all you do is you go to my website, harounventures.com/writebook. That's all one word, lowercase, write book. And you click here and you can download a template. And this template, it's a Microsoft Word document. And it's kind of tough to see here. Let me zoom in here. But page 1 tells you how to do it, how to publish on Kindle, Amazon Print, which is called CreateSpace, Amazon Audible, which is ACX. This is the whole template. Download it, write your dedication, your mom and dad. And then what you can do is you write the book, right-click here, and update the table of contents. And then you submit it using the instructions on page 1 I have there. Anybody can do it. And you got to ask yourself, how badly do you want that job? Or how badly do you want to get that customer? You can do it. Write a book. It's free to do. You self-publish. And it feels great when you're done as well. And when you publish it, let me know so I can buy it and profile your book here on the air, which is what I've done many times for my many students. Okay. All right. And then Manas wrote, congratulations on the course with Vital. Thank you. And you wrote, it will sell like hotcakes. And we all wish that. Thank you. I certainly hope it does. I've donated a bunch of money to his cause already. And I want to thank Elan and Joey from Ziggy Media, they just donated $400 to the GoFundMe page. Thank you. Which I haven't really publicized yet, but I will eventually. Thank you. And Manas wrote, I've got tons of questions waiting for your attention today. Okay, thank you. And I'm going to answer these in the order in which I see them here. Dario wrote, I'm aware that all brokers are very similar, but what broker do you use to buy securities? Yeah. So I don't use a human being to buy and sell stocks because I don't like to pay high commission fees. I don't do that. I've always done it online myself. And even when I worked at very big hedge funds, a lot of times I would just submit my orders to get executed by using technology, unless it's a massive position and I need a trader to be able to find a block of shares from another big account like a Fidelity or whatever. But for me, because I don't have that much money compared to hedge funds, I just buy and sell myself. Yeah. Okay. All right. And never take investment advice from anybody, please. Always do your own research. No one is smarter than you. I humbly teach you how to fish in my courses when it comes to finance and business, instead of providing you with a fish. And just do your own research, always. And if you're curious about online websites like The Motley Fool, for example, you can go to YouTube and do a search on my name and Motley Fool for my thoughts on that type of service. Always do your own research because everybody is biased. And be careful with CEOs because they're amazing salespeople. That's how they became CEOs. So don't just buy a stock after watching a CEO present on television, because they are great salespeople. That's how they became CEO. And then Manas wrote, I published a course 2 weeks ago, and it's called Chrome Extensions Course. And I'd love your feedback on the course cover and promo. Can you please help me with this one? Thanks. Yeah, of course. Sure. Let's go look together. And so Manas's course is called Chrome Extensions, and you're asking me for feedback on the course and the promotional trailer. Sure, I'll give you my humble thoughts. All right, so let's go to Udemy, Manas Roy, Chrome extension. All right, here we go. Okay, great. So let's check it out. And again, Manas asked me for feedback. Oh, good for you, man. You got a bunch of students? Awesome. Nice. Oh, I love this quote too. You got my favorite quote up there. I love it. The two most important days in your life are number one, the day you're born, and number two, the day you find out why. Okay, so let's check it out here. I like that the image. So Udemy has a rule you can't put text unless it's your brand name here. This is very recognizable. So I got to say that I think this is an amazing thumbnail. This is great. And in terms of the promotional trailer, which you asked me to look at, let me take a look. Let me take a look at it, and I'll provide you with my humble thoughts. Here we go.
Welcome to your course. Yes, welcome to your course, to your Chrome extensions course. First of all, I need to introduce myself, Manas Roy, the co-founder of Malik's Edutainment and your instructor for this course. I'm a digital marketer and a voiceover artist, and I love teaching students. That is the only reason, I think one of the biggest reasons why I'm teaching on this lovely, beautiful platform. Now, moving straight to the course.
So I'll give you a little bit of feedback. I like the fact you're in. A lot of people just show slides and text. I like that fact that you're in it. You're very personable as well, which is important because the product is you first, the course second. But what I would do is I would immediately jump into what people are going to learn in the course. I would do it really, really quickly because like my team, for example, my marketing team, the guys from ziggymedia.com, they told me that, Chris, if you don't get to the point immediately in videos, people tend to jump to another video right away. And so when I do promotional stuff, usually I jump into what the product is much, much faster if you can. And what I would also do is make sure in the first couple lessons that there are tangible skills immediately that students can apply. So that's what I would say. So for the first 30 seconds, I would jump right to the point and say what they will learn, right, in the course, etc. Yeah, that's what I recommend. And I see what you're doing back here behind the newspapers because it's advertising. It's cool. Yeah, it's in reverse too. I like that. Okay. And if you want more feedback aside from that, let me know. But I think if you jump immediately and let people know what they're going to learn within the first 30 seconds or so, or even faster, I think that's worthwhile. So I remember I met with Carolyn. I can't remember her last name right now, but she's the head of media services at LinkedIn. Carolyn Fairchild, I remember her name. Yeah, it's a senior moment. The older I get, the better I was. And she told me, Chris, whenever you write an article, I had breakfast with her a while back. She said, Chris, whenever you write an article in LinkedIn or online anywhere, you got to ask yourself two questions. Number one, why you? Why now? Okay, so I would immediately jump to why you to teach this course. You know, what success have you had in the past with Chrome extensions, which is the crux of your course. Yeah, but it looks good though. Okay, all right. Next up, question is from Naman, who's saying, do we get the ebooks free along with your courses or only some in the Platinum program? Yeah, no, you get everything. You get everything, every book I've ever published, I provide to you. Yeah, in the Gold and the Platinum program. And for those of you that are curious what the difference is between the Gold and the Platinum program, you can go to my website or you can go to www.harounmba.com. Just to learn more. My website is harounventures.com, and there's a lot of testimonials, etc. Yeah. Okay. And then Dario is saying many brokerage firms have hidden fees that are difficult to discover at first glance. For example, a big spread between demand and supply. Yeah. And then you wrote even inactivity fees. Yeah, I would be careful. And in general, I don't recommend ever buying mutual funds. I think mutual funds are a massive scam. And they're a very powerful lobbying group. And they pay a lot of money to Madison Avenue, New York, to get great commercials made. But the problem with mutual funds is 90% of mutual funds underperform what are called ETFs, exchange traded funds. And mutual fund fees are usually a couple percent higher than ETFs, and they underperform. And you pay more taxes with mutual funds too, because ETFs, what happens is the fund managers on the ETFs that match the S&P 500 or other indexes, they usually don't buy and sell stocks all year long, unless a company was added to the S&P like Tesla, which is why it went up a lot recently. And so if they don't buy and sell stocks that often, then you pay less taxes. Why? Because most governments globally, reward you for being a patient investor. What does that mean? Well, that means that in most countries, if you own something and then you sell it more than a year later, you pay less taxes, less capital gains taxes. If you own something and you sell it within a year, you usually pay higher taxes, higher capital gains taxes. And so the bottom line is that ETF managers, they tend to be long-term focused and not sell within a given year in most cases, whereas mutual funds do as they chase performance, especially in Q4, which means that with mutual funds, not only are you paying much higher fees, they're also underperforming and you're going to pay more in taxes in many cases. Okay. Then Manas wrote here, my fourth course on Udemy is going live next week. It's awesome. I was shooting it for an hour, and I love the way people do respond to our courses. Thanks to you and Melody, because the day she showed her course to you is the day that was on this webcast. Yeah, Melody is great. And so Melody Johnson is one of my amazing students. She's a teacher. And she's also she's from Atlanta. She's wonderful. Yeah. So search for her courses, Melody Johnson, on Udemy as well. Yeah. Cool. And then you wrote, just to tell you, I have over 450 students from your father's country. Oh, thank you. Yeah. My dad's originally from Egypt. I've never been there. I'd love to go. And by the way, if your parents are from a different country, or a different region and you've never been there, what I recommend doing is go to Google Earth with them and do a screen record and record their voice and have them walk through where they grew up. You know, like my dad, he grew up in a town called Sohag, which is a couple hours south of Cairo. And I did it with him, and he said, this is where I would go to get a loaf of bread. This is the Coptic church I went to, etc. So try to do a Google Earth video and record it with your loved ones. Yeah. Okay. And Manas wrote, I thought about it today in the morning, and it's whenever you visit Rwanda, just tell me because I'd love to teach all the lovely students live through any platform. I will do that because I love teaching and interacting with students. Awesome. Yeah, I love what I do. And yeah, teachers love what they do as well. All right. Next up, SD is saying, do you believe that A students end up working for C students? Because I hear of a lot of successful entrepreneurs that had good grades and went to Harvard or similar, like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. Yeah, I think Bezos went to Princeton, and Elon Musk he went to a couple of schools. One of them was Queen's in Canada, in Kingston. Yeah. And then you wrote, how does somebody get into an Ivy League if they didn't do anything unique? Yeah. Well, it's like anything else in life. You got to analyze what your goal is in the future. Go on a long walk, write down, what is your perfect life in 5 or 10 years? And after you document that, you've got a gap. How do you fill that gap? So what I would do is I would look at profiles of people that work at companies you want to work at or went to schools you want to go to, and find out what they have on their LinkedIn profile and try to fill that gap if you possibly can. I don't think you need to go to Harvard to be successful. There's plenty of people that have dropped out of school, Harvard included, that are very, very successful. Yeah. I do recommend university if you've tried 1,000 networking meetings and you can't change careers. I know that sounds like a lot, but hear me out. So an MBA from a lot of schools costs $100,000. I think the reason to go to an MBA school is if you've done 1,000 informational meetings, and I'll run through the math and logic in a second. You've done 1,000 informational meetings and you still can't change careers. Why did I say 1,000? Because if you think about each networking meeting that you set up as costing you $100, then 100 times 1,000 is $100,000, which is the cost of an MBA from a lot of schools, which is ridiculously high. And so how do you get these networking meetings? Well, you can go to my website, harounventures.com, and download my networking book for free. Or you can sign up for my MBA degree program, which has a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And I'll teach you how to network on steroids. And if you sign up for the platinum version of my program, I'll personally, not my staff, me, humbly, I will personally write your LinkedIn profile for you. Yeah. But I think that relationships are more important than product knowledge. And I think that a lot of people, myself included, make the mistake of thinking that if you keep your head down, do a good job, that you're going to get promoted or a raise. That's not how the world works. When you're younger and you're in school, if you get good grades, your parents are proud of you and you're proud of yourself as well. But when you go to the real world, it's different. And a lot of people don't understand that, well, in high school or undergrad, whatever, I got good grades and things worked out. And now I'm working and I'm keeping my head down like I did then. Nobody is noticing me. I get a pat in the back every now and then. But other people are getting promoted faster than me. Why is that? Because you have to ask. Nobody's ever made CEO without asking and get promoted many times. And there's tactful ways to do it. You have to ask. You'll never get anything you want in life unless you ask and ask often. You have to. You want to get a date, you have to ask. I had to ask 1 billion times. If you want to get promoted, you have to ask. If you want to get a customer, you have to ask over and over and over again. And, just understand that failure is a badge of honor. There's so many great authors that failed a gazillion times. Nobody would sign them up. Agatha Christie, C.S. Lewis, John Grisham. The same thing happened to them. They failed over and over and over again by asking to get their book published. And then finally somebody said yes. And as Mark Cuban said, you only have to be right in business one time. Okay? So networking is key. You know, when you start working in a big company, especially in the first 2 weeks in your new job, you're the new kid in town. So I would set up a lot of informational meetings. It's kind of like when you were in undergrad or high school. The friends you made in the first 2 weeks of school are your lifelong friends. You're the new kid in town. Ask for those networking meetings. Find people at your company that you work at that have something in common with you. And set up a breakfast meeting with them when you first start. Or even if you've been there for a while, just meet them. You need mentors. You need Yodas. And people want to help you. All you got to do is ask. Ask and you'll receive. It's prophetic, and it's been true since the beginning of time. Yeah. But I do believe that your network is your net worth. And that I don't think being an A student is going to make sure that you're successful. There's a lot of people that were A students that are much less successful than people that were C students. Just network aggressively and understand that relationships are more important than product knowledge. And in my MBA degree program, I teach you how to network on steroids. Okay. And it's fun too. It's fun meeting people, having fun and learning. Yeah. And my MBA students, there's a great network as well with them. Yeah. And reach out to any of them if you want to on LinkedIn, find them, and then ask them what are the negatives and then the positives about doing the program, etc. Yeah. And the cost of the program is the same cost as literally a couple hours of doing an MBA at a traditional school. Yeah. Okay. All right. And speaking of that gap analysis and Jeff Bezos, it's interesting because Jeff Bezos, what he does is every year he has his product managers on all of his products like Kindle, AWS, Prime, etc. Every year he has all of his product managers write a press release that's going to be released years in the future. And he uses that press release as kind of a goal-setting workshop. You know, here's the press release that's going to come out in the future that you wrote. Here's where your product is now. How do you fill that gap? And that's what goal setting is. And so I recommend writing down your goals every single year, multiple times, and set a deadline date. Because the reason most people give up their New Year's resolutions by the third week of January is because they didn't set a deadline date. So set that deadline date and vocalize your goals as well. Tell people about your goals. Tell people you're going to write a book by the third week of January. And by telling people, it puts pressure on you. And I say with love in my heart, it puts pressure on you to get that goal done, to write that book, to make it become a reality. And in my MBA degree program, I'm also going to teach you time management skills, which are unbelievable to the extent that you will accomplish twice as much every day after you start the MBA program than you did before. And if it doesn't work for you, you get your money back. And so the next class for the Gold and Platinum program, it starts December 14th. It lasts 1 year. And if you sign up today or anytime before December 4th, which is the final cutoff, if you sign up, you get your money back all the way through 1 month after the program starts, which means January 14th. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Okay. All right. Next up, Emily is saying, hi, Chris. I'm your MBA student in the coming December program. Awesome. Thank you. I hope you're doing well. Likewise. What are your opinions on investing in pre-revenue companies? How did you value them when you worked in venture capital? Yeah. So it's tough. What you have to do is you have to think of the size of the total addressable market. And a lot of venture capital firms like Kleiner Perkins, and I had a partner from Kleiner Perkins, really good dude, actually, a guest lecturer in one of my classes. But what Kleiner Perkins does, for example, is quite often they'll never invest in a company where the size of the market, the total addressable market, isn't at least $20 billion. And the reason is, in the unlikely event that the company gets 5% share of a market, 5% of a $20 billion market is $1 billion in annual revenue. And so what a lot of investors do, especially with pre-revenue companies, is they look at the size of the total addressable market to see if it's big enough. What they also do, and the most important thing they do, is they analyze the management team, because ideas are commodities, but execution is not. The jockey is always more important than the horse. You know, it's interesting. I'll teach you in my MBA program how to analyze management teams as well. What people do in business school, it's unfortunate, is they analyze business models. But what's the point? What's the point of analyzing a business model if you don't like the management team? You always start with the management team, and then you go from there. So in terms of how to value companies that are pre-revenue, you look at the size of the total addressable market and what percent you think they're going to get of that TAM, meaning total addressable market longer term. And the way to come up with the total addressable market is you can do a search for total addressable market of whatever sector it is. And a lot of times, great consulting firms like Forrester, Gartner, McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, Accenture, a lot of times those aforementioned consulting firms and many others will write these lengthy reports on industries, and they'll release excerpts of it, meaning the total addressable market. And if you can't find it that way, then look at the top 25 companies in a sector and add up the annual revenue for the top 25 companies, because that's a good enough proxy for the size of the total addressable market. Then once you feel comfortable with the TAM, the total addressable market, and the management team, of course, once you feel comfortable with those two factors, the next step is to create a financial model. In the financial model, the company is going to have revenue in your model. And I teach you in my MBA degree program in the venture capital boot camp in the 3rd of 4 semesters. I teach you in the 3rd semester how to create financial models for companies that don't have revenue at all. Because you will prognosticate or project through a pro forma financial statement how much money the company's going to make in revenue longer term, and then eventually earnings. And I always look out 5 or 10 years whenever I analyze companies when it comes to financial modeling, of which I've done a lot of. And I'll teach you the greatest hits of that in the MBA degree program. Okay. Next up, Manas is saying, can I ask you for something? Your speech that you gave a month ago was awesome. Can I get the script? It will be my introduction to my newest book. I'll definitely give the credits to you. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll show you how I do it. And so, and Manas, you'll love this too. So for any of you that want to make a course, I'm going to teach you the easiest way to make a book out of your course. And that's what I do. That's what a lot of my books, they're just from my courses. What I do is this. I close caption my courses. And then what I do is after I close caption them, I export the entire closed captioned files and I make a book out of it. And I'll show you how. Yeah, it's fun to do and it's easy to. And I've made every mistake, so you won't have to if you go to school on me here, so to speak. All right, so what I do is I go to rev.com. And there's others out there, but these guys are fast as well. And they do a lot of international stuff. So what I do is I submit my order to them. It's a little bit pricey, but I'm very long-term focused, right? So, for example, this here was the trailer I did with Vital, okay? And I wanted to add French captions to it. And you can see here on the bottom, these are all the captions that they create for you, okay? This is the English version, but I also have a French version as well that they take care of here, right? And then what you can do is you can then export this file or all files in a course or whatever it is. And then you can make a book out of that. Really, really easy to do. So let me do a search. It was a Brazil speech, right? Yeah. At a conference here, yeah. All right, yeah. Yeah, so I've done a bunch of speeches in Brazil. So what I'll do is this. Send me your, Manas, over LinkedIn, send me a message. I'll look for your name and request it. And I'll export this and I'll give it to you. The whole thing, of course. Yeah. And you don't have to give credits to me. It's fine. As long as you inspire one person. And I know it'll be more than one. All right, next up, Pratik is saying, Manas, you're doing a great job, man. 3 courses in 1 book. Awesome. I also read your message on Udemy about having a one-on-one. Very cool. Very cool. I love it. Next question is from Manas, which is, this is a weird question. Can you explain to me the game of baseball in 120 seconds? I love cricket, and to some extent, it's similar to baseball, so I thought of asking it. Yeah, absolutely. So given the fact that you're a cricket fan, I've played both. I'll explain it to you. So in cricket, when you hit the ball, it goes over the fence, and that's a 6. In baseball, that's a 1, unless you have people that are standing on the other 3 bases. So that would mean a 4 runs. Okay. But in cricket, every ball that you hit, if it's not caught, you can get a run by running between the wickets. In baseball, you can't do that if somebody catches the ball and throws it to the first bag that you run at, the first of the 3 bags, first base. Okay. So that's basically an explanation of it. That's how it works. Now, cricket can last forever, and you stop for tea every now and then. In baseball, it lasts for 9 innings. And what that means is each team, they get an opportunity to hit 9 different times. Okay, and it cycles through the different players, so that each player usually gets up to bat in baseball 4 times. Yeah, versus cricket, which is once. Okay. Cricket's a harder game too, man, because you gotta baseball. Imagine baseball if the ball could bounce and it moves faster, and then it can be a strike. That's what cricket's tough, man. The ball, the windmill throw, it could spin when it bounces, and then you have to. It's deadly, man. It's hard. I played it a lot growing up. The teacher didn't like me very much, so he always put me into what's called the suicide position, which is in between the 2 wicket keepers. Yeah, and we didn't wear helmets back then. I'm a child of the 70s. I rode my big wheel over ramps, and I didn't wear a helmet. Yeah, reckless. All right. Next question is, Mr. Lee is saying, speaking of investing in a company, what personal qualities do you look for in the management team? As an amateur investor, how can I get this information? Yeah. So there's lots of things you can do. One of the most important ones I recommend looking at initially, because you can quantify it, is go to a website called glassdoor.com. And this is not readily available for all companies, but for many it is. And then what you can do is you can search for any company you want, and you can read reviews from the management team as well. So right here, Microsoft, 97% approve of the CEO, Satya Nadella. It's not a surprise. He's a good dude. Everyone loves him. The other senior management, people don't rate as high there, though, right? Which makes sense. It's a very political place to work at times. It is what it is. And then what you can do is you can read the reviews here of what it's like working there, here as an intern, I guess, and then as a software engineer, etc. And you can learn a lot about the management team here by reading these reviews. What you can also do is if you go to LinkedIn, you can read reviews on people here as well. And a lot of times, people that become CEO at companies or do exceptionally well and raise money, they have a lot of reviews written about them. So I'll show you this guy, Mohit Aaron. I used to be on the board of his company. I worked at a venture capital firm where Sequoia led the A round. And then we partnered up to lead the B round. And so I was on his board for a little while until I started venture capital. And so when I was doing research on Mohit, who's the founder of this company, Cohesity, which is the one that we invested in years ago, great guy, I looked through his experience. And so when I was doing due diligence on the company, this guy's awesome. He founded a company called Nutanix, which is publicly traded. It's done really well. He was a staff engineer at Google, and he actually wrote, along with other people, the file system at Google when he was there as well. And so he also worked at this company here, Aster, which got acquired. Aside from that, if I go down here, IIT in Delhi, I read through his recommendations, which are amazing. And I read every single one of them before I invested. Yeah, every one. And then what you can also do is you can find out people that are connected to him, that I'm connected to, and I can reach out to them and ask them questions as well. And so I have 378 people that I know well, like Frank Slootman as well, and I invested in his company years ago, which was ServiceNow, ticker NOW. And then actually, I also met with the founders of Snowflake, and I almost led a round. Michael Spicer, he and I were on a board of a company. He introduced me to the management team at Snowflake. And that was right before I quit to start my own company. Arvind's at City Ventures, great guy here in Palo Alto. So I would ask anyway, I would ask a lot of these people. And if I didn't have these contacts, what I would do is I would ask second degree contacts about this unbelievable CEO here, for example. And so that's just a quick sample. What I would also do is I would watch YouTube videos or presentations of a founder to see if she or he can sell, and if I feel passionate about what they're selling as well. Because I know that the business model of a lot of startups is going to change materially over the years. And so I want to make sure that I actually get excited about that management team. And so there's a brilliant man named Saeed Amidi, great guy. He was the first investor in PayPal. Amazing guy. And he had me on his board of advisors picking fintech stocks years ago with him. And I remember when we would see these pitches, and they were 10-minute pitches. I remember there's 3 of us that were selecting companies. And then after each meeting, the entrepreneur would leave. And then Saeed would ask me, he'd say, Chris, what are your thoughts? And I would say, well, the business model seems decent, blah, blah, blah. And he'd say, no. Start with the management team. And even if the business model wasn't amazing, he would sometimes invest because the management team was incredibly passionate about what they were doing. And so you have to be a great salesperson. And I learned from Saeed that you always want to prefer to invest in an A management team with a B business model instead of investing in a B management team with an A business model. The jockey is always more important than the horse. Okay. All right. Let's see, next up. And if it's a publicly traded company, you can always go to the annual reports and read the bios of the management team. They have to disclose that. Yeah. Or the about, that's how we say in Canada, the about section of a website. Okay, next up, Tanzil is saying, I live in Pakistan. My parents forced me to join university, which I don't want to. What should I tell my parents? Will recruiters hire me without having any degree? Yeah. This is tough because for me, I believe that there's 10 basic old rules to live by. And they're similar in many different religions. I won't go there, but one of them is to respect your parents, which I really do believe in that. But what I would do is I would go on a long walk by yourself, okay? And write down your perfect life in 10 years. And think about that perfect life and set your goals high, really, really high, actually. So you grow into the person that can achieve those goals. And then after you write down your goals, then there's a gap. I want you to analyze that gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And I want you to think about, do you need to get that university degree to get what you want in 10 years? Find profiles of people on LinkedIn that are living your perfect life in 10 years today. And see, do they all have university degrees? If not, then maybe consider not doing it, going to university. But make sure that you articulate to your parents, why you don't want to go, and show them the profiles of these people that are living the life that you want in 10 years. And really appeal to their heart, okay? They'll get it. They'll see if you're incredibly passionate about a different career track, and that it lights you up and makes you happy. Then I think they'll understand. They'll understand. And a lot of people will, go to law school for some crazy reason. Unless you're a civil rights lawyer, then I love you. Otherwise, no. Unless you're representing me. A lot of people will go to law school or medical school or become an engineer just to please their parents. But you'll never be happy that way because you'll always be someone else's prisoner in your own mind. And if you live your life to try to please other people, you'll never reach your full potential in life. You got to just tell yourself, this is my life. I'm going to live it my way. And if other people don't understand that, if they're close to me, I will explain my life path and why I want to do what I want to do. And if your perfect life in 10 years doesn't require you to get that university degree, if you can take online courses instead, explain that to your parents. Explain that to your parents. Yeah. But you got to follow your heart always. If you chase money, you lose your dreams and your money. If you chase your dreams, as long as you don't care what other people think, and as long as you're willing to fail at least a couple times, and please fail more than a couple times. If you chase your dreams and you fail more than a couple times, eventually they'll come true. Because as Mark Cuban said, you only have to be right in business one time. One time. That's it. And the best entrepreneurs in the world, they didn't live their lives to, please other people. They wanted to put a dent in the universe and leave this planet in a better condition than when they entered it. So write down your life plan, your goals. And if that means not going to university, then you can make that decision. But if you really think it's important to explain to your parents why you don't want to go to university, explain why. Explain your life path, model it out, write down your goals with deadline dates, and explain to your parents, appeal to their emotion, their heart, that it just doesn't make sense for you to do so based on where you want to go in your life. Yeah. And there's plenty, look, I respect a lot of universities, not all of them, but there's plenty of people that didn't get a university degree that are very successful. People that actually started in the mailroom. And I've got so many examples. So Simon Cowell, okay, the dude from American Idol, probably not the best guy to lead with. But he started in the mailroom. The same thing with David Geffen from Geffen Records. He's a billionaire now. The same thing with the former president of Cosmopolitan magazine and the former president of ESPN, and Sidney Weinberg, who was the CEO of Goldman Sachs for decades. You don't need an antiquated institution with old buildings and old ways to tell you that you are getting approval from the world. You got to care about what you think of yourself longer term. What drives you. What's your passion, your purpose. And Mark Twain said the two most important days in your life are, number one, the day you're born, and number two, the day you find out why. What's your why? There's nothing worse than living your life to try to please other people your entire life, because you'll never be happy that way. You'll never be happy. Okay. And if you have additional questions based on my answer, let me know, please. All right. All right, we just had a power outage here. So my backup battery generators just kicked in. So hopefully we don't, if we get cut off, just stay online. I have a backup computer and we'll go from there. It happens with the fires in California every now and then. Rarely. Yeah. Okay. And I've got 5 backup batteries here. Yeah. All right. Next up, Manas is saying, Chris, are you ready for tomorrow? I hope over 2,000 people are going to turn up tomorrow. Good luck with that. Thank you. Yeah, and for those of you not familiar, and I've got, I'm going to nerd out here. Here are the details on tomorrow's event. Yeah, thank you. It should be fun. And then Manas wrote, thanks for being my mentor and also for answering my questions. God bless you and your family forever. Thank you. And God bless you and your family a billion times more. Okay. And then next up, Gamar is saying, your name here it says it's Gamar, not Gamer. Okay. So Gamar, I don't see you live on LinkedIn. What happened? Yeah. I do LinkedIn Live every now and then. I found that it's a little bit buggy though. So I'll show you how you can go live on many platforms at the same time. And in my MBA degree program, I teach you how to use Wirecast as product, as well as open source free products like OBS, which stands for Open Broadcasting Software, as well as Twitch and others as well. Okay. So you can go live on many platforms at once using this product or open OBS as well. You go to output settings here, okay? And then when you're in output settings, what you can do is you can go and you can add LinkedIn here and many others as well, okay? And you could stream to many platforms at the same time. It slows down bandwidth a bit, but not too much. It works out quite well. I found that LinkedIn is kind of buggy. I've done it before, and I'll probably do it again soon. But my main focus is it's YouTube. Usually in technology, the way it works is there's one platform that matters and everyone else is kind of a rounding error. So for example, in search, it's Google and everyone else is Bing. In education technology, it's Udemy and everyone else is Bing, I guess, as well. And then when it comes to live streams, it's YouTube and everyone else is less relevant. But I will go down that path and broadcast many places at the same time again soon. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And Asamina wrote, hello, Chris. I hope all is well. Asamina, great to hear from you. And Asamina is joining us in the Platinum program, starting on December 14th for my MBA degree program. She's awesome. She's from Greece originally. She is a brilliant programmer who's creating her own video game that I can't wait to play soon. All right. And Saloni is saying, glad to be here. Thank you. I'm glad you're here as well. Thank you. Give me one second, guys. Okay, great. All right. So, and Manas is saying, hope the game and the game maker are in the best of health. And I think you're talking to another person there. Yeah. And then Gamar wrote, Chris, I couldn't find you on LinkedIn. I missed a lot of your live streams. Yeah. I'll start doing it on LinkedIn again soon. Yeah. All right, cool. And then Pratik is saying tomorrow's topic is my favorite one. In tomorrow's topic, and I'll use a different camera angle this time. Here are the words here. You can read up on it and how to access tomorrow's call. So tomorrow's topic is my favorite one. You wrote, I want to do something related to education and make it accessible to everybody and make it interesting. Awesome. Awesome. And I hope you join us tomorrow as well. And again, all the details here are on the side of the screen. Okay. And I kept the wall blue back there so I could throw this stuff on there. It doesn't look that great graphics-wise, but it works, I guess, yeah. Oh, Jose in the house. Jose is one of my amazing Platinum students. I was worried about him, and so I sent him a message yesterday. He lives in Brooklyn, but I hadn't seen him in class, in a couple classes, and he went back down to Venezuela to see family, and everything is good, you wrote, which is good in the email. So God bless you, and happy Thanksgiving to you, Jose, as well, and your family. Okay. Next up, Naman is saying, can tomorrow's session be rescheduled as in India? It'll be midnight and 12:30 a.m. So the way that I do my classes is the MBA degree program. I teach it on Mondays and Tuesdays in 2 time zones in order to accommodate my many students in India. The first time zone starts at 9 a.m. And the second time zone starts at 4 p.m. Yeah. So I'm sorry that it's going to be midnight there. But what happened last time was when I did the call, I had a lot of people in India join at 11 a.m. when I started the previous open house in October on a Friday. And then they went to bed, and then they woke up, and I was still doing it. It was over 12 hours long. It was crazy. And I didn't get up once until like the 10th or 11th hour, which is my record. Yeah. But when you do what you love doing, it's not a job, it's a passion. It's like playing a video game. Hours go by, you have no concept of time. This is what I love doing. Yeah. But you can always watch the replay if you want to. Yeah. Thanks. And I don't think tomorrow's is going to be as long as the previous one because I've got to spend more time with these guys. I'm in the dark here. My kids and Christine, of course. Yeah. Who's very patient. Very patient. Yeah. All right. Next up, Mohammed is saying, hey, Chris. Hey, Mohammed. Hope you're doing well. Do you think finance jobs will be automated in the future? And then you wrote, what do you think is the best double major in finance? I was thinking about data science. Greetings from Egypt. Oh, excellent. Hope you're well. Thanks, Mo. Appreciate it. So most finance jobs are sales jobs. And I don't think you can outsource relationships, or at least not all of them. You know, business is about relationships first, and then what you know second. You know, your network is your net worth. But I do think that in finance, a lot of trading roles are going to be outsourced, and many have been already. A lot of people refer to them as execution roles. So many of the smaller orders can be done with computers. The larger orders for the big hedge funds, it's still kind of a manual process because you have to call other big hedge funds or trading floors, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, et cetera, to find a big block of shares. But I think anything trading oriented will be outsourced. I really do. Yeah. Now, you wrote, what do you think is the best double major within finance? Whatever you're most passionate about. You wrote data science as well, and I think that's a smart choice. And if you want to learn more about finance and data science, the best finance and data science professor on Udemy is a guy named Kirill who teaches all that stuff. So take his courses. Yeah. All right. And then Pratik wrote, I'm going to watch the replay tomorrow. Thank you. And then Shamim is saying, hello, respected Chris. Thank you. And then you wrote, can you please send me the transcript text of the future of education to this email? Yeah. Tell you what, send me a LinkedIn message with this because somebody else requested it as well. Manas requested it, and I'll look through LinkedIn. I get so many messages. I'm so sorry if I don't respond to people. I have a lot of students, but send me a LinkedIn message, okay? And I will look for that message for you and Manas, and I will send it to both you today. All right, next up, Alan is saying, hi, Chris. Are you really teaching in Singapore Business School? I saw your name there, but I never hear you promote it. Yeah, I'm not. So I've had a couple of students mention that. If it's something that Udemy is doing, then great. If not, then I should probably get my lawyers involved. But I've had a lot of people tell me that my courses are in some Singapore school. My stuff gets pirated. I have lawyers go after people, whatever. But do me a favor, Alan, if you can, send me a LinkedIn message as well. I'll look for it. And just provide me with more details, and then I'll look into it. Thank you. All right. All right. And next up, we got Gerson, who's saying, God bless you, Chris. Thank you. God bless you more. Nice to see you again. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us. My pleasure. Thank you. Okay. All right. And Dario is saying, thank you for what you're doing. Your idea of building schools is incredible. Thank you. Thank you. And I promise you, I'm going to be making a lot of mistakes. I will make a ton of mistakes doing this, but I want to learn how to do it the right way so I could build a blueprint so other people can do the same thing as well. Yeah. And it'll be fun. Yeah. And Michael's saying good morning and happy American Thanksgiving. It's a beautiful day here in Sonoma County. Thank you, Michael. And I hope the air quality is better there for you. I think it's good. Let me check now. What's the air quality like?
The air quality is good at 26 right now.
Yeah, so we're good. Anything under 50 is good. I turned off my air purifier a couple weeks ago. We haven't had smelled the fires in the past couple weeks. For a while there, it was brutal, man. Like the sky was orange here one day. I don't know if you remember that. I'm sure it was the same up in Sonoma County a couple months ago. Yeah, what a crazy year it's been, man. Okay. All right. And then Michael is saying, on this day of giving thanks, I am so grateful to have the opportunity to learn from you in your compassionate heart. Thank you for being you. Michael, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Without my wonderful students, my customers, none of this would be possible. So I'm so grateful as well. Thank you, and God bless you. Okay. And Gamar is saying, in one of your videos, and by the way, everybody, I read every question in order, and if I miss any of them, just paste it again. And I don't think I've ever skipped. I've skipped one question in the past 115 weeks. Somebody wrote something that was not politically correct. That's it. But that was the only one I missed. But I read every single one in order here. Thank you. And so Gamar is saying, in one of your videos, you said, you quoted Warren Buffett, be cautious when others are excited and be excited when others are cautious. Yeah. Yeah. And you want to be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. And the reason is that if you buy a stock that everybody else loves. Who is the incremental investor to push that stock higher? There's not that many. And so the best time to buy stocks is when it feels really uncomfortable. And you have to be unemotional about business. And a lot of the most successful billionaires I've worked for, I won't name which ones, were kind of borderline Asperger's. They weren't that emotional. And when things went well, there was no high-fiving. And when things didn't go well, they didn't freak out. You got to be unemotional in business to do well. And the best time to buy stocks is when there's blood in the streets. And that's a harsh thing to say. It's a Wall Street saying. But you got to buy when it feels uncomfortable. And my favorite thing to do is to buy a broken stock, but not a broken company. And so I'm not buying any stocks right now, but I was in size back in February and March. Yeah. All right. And if you're a contrarian in business in general, you'll be very, very successful. You just got to think differently and not be influenced by anybody. And I pride myself on providing my students in my MBA degree program and my courses with a bunch of different frameworks, so that it arrows in your quiver, so to speak, so that you can analyze any business problem. And for those of you that have taken business courses in the past, just reflect on one framework you've learned from each of those courses that you can apply in the real world. And then Gamar wrote, on that note, Jet Airways is a defunct domestic airline that shut down its services, and it's seen its stocks surge 150% this year versus a 42% plunge in the 27-member World Airlines Index. Its runaway gains have market watchers scratching their heads, especially since Jet Airways is undergoing bankruptcy proceedings, which has almost 17,000 creditors seeking claims around $3.4 billion. And it's had most of its landing slots confiscated. It doesn't have any employees speak of either. Yeah. Okay. And you're probably seeing if I can justify the price of that. I don't know that company, but what I will say is this. From having worked in the hedge fund industry and starting my own hedge fund, be really careful about crowded shorts. And there's something I look at, which is called the short interest ratio, the SIR. And the short interest ratio basically means the number of shares that people are short, meaning betting against, divided by the average daily volume. And if it's more than 10, meaning more than 10 days to cover, then I usually don't short those companies and never have, because they get crowded, which means that on negative news, the stock can go up still because it's a crowded short. So be careful with that. Always be careful with that. And when a stock goes up on bad news, quite often it's found a floor. Okay. All right. And next up, and if I miss anybody in between, just paste it again, please. And by the way, if you guys paste in an internet link, it actually doesn't doesn't work. For some reason, YouTube blocks it. I don't know why. Okay, so next up we have Aris, who's saying, hello, Chris. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you. Likewise. May I ask the difference between an accelerator and an incubator? Yeah. So there's a term in venture capital called let me think about this. Called boot camp. And I actually have a boot camp program set up in the third semester of my MBA degree program, a venture capital boot camp, where I teach you all how to start your own company, and I help you along the way as well. But in general, an incubator is kind of think of like in a hospital when a baby is born and needs a little bit more support, and so it receives a lot of support from doctors for a while. Yeah, and so that's how to think about it when it comes to venture capital incubator, so to speak. You might actually live at the location where the investors are based, kind of like with Draper. You can do a search, and I've guest lectured there and helped tons of business models there with one-on-ones and been on panels there for Tim Draper. And then there's accelerators, it's a little bit more hands-off than that. They'll help accelerate your business, like the Jolt Accelerator in Toronto that I've done work with as well, which is a government-sponsored entity. But they're a little bit less hands-on. Yeah. Okay. And Pratik said, thanks a lot, Chris. You're most welcome. Thank you. Okay. And Gamar is saying, I'm reading Steve Jobs' biography now. This is not the first of Walter Isaacson's work that I've read. It's a great book as ever. Yeah, he's done a lot of great stuff as well. He had a book actually on called The Innovators, which talks about a lot of innovators in Silicon Valley. It's like 500 pages long. And he talks a lot about Andy Bechtolsheim. And I forwarded the passage on Andy to Andy, and Andy said, what can I say? It's all true. And Andy's a friend of mine, and he's actually he's been the keynote speaker at a lot of my venture capital events that I've created. And he was the first investor in Google and the very first employee at Sun Microsystems. He's great. Yeah. And I got to spend an hour and a half talking to him a few years ago at the annual Kleiner Perkins Venture Capital Holiday events at the Menlo Circus Club. And he told me that one of the reasons why he's never failed in his startups, he's done very well, is because of timing. He said, if you're too early, like 10 years too early, like Apple was with the Newton, for example, it's just not going to work. You got to time the market about 2 years before, which is really, really tough to do. But timing has a lot to do with success. And Wayne Gretzky, Canadian, I got to go there. Wayne Gretzky said the reason that he was very successful is not because he skated to where the puck is, but rather because he skated to where the puck is going to be. And we have to think that way as well. We have to invest in companies or start companies that people are going to like. Yeah. Another great Wayne Gretzky quote. I love the guy. He's so humble. He said, when you lose, say nothing. And when you win, say even less. Next up, we have Alain, who's saying, hi, Chris. I have a big vision of creating the biggest and the best meeting site and app of all time. Awesome. It's going to be free. My question is, how can I achieve that? I don't have finances or the skills. Yeah. Love that question. Okay. So what you can do is you can retool and reinvent yourself by taking online courses. And the one I recommend taking, I recommend doing a search on Udemy and Angela Yu. She's wonderful, and you can learn how to code from scratch. Let's go there together. Let's go to Udemy, Angela Yu, Dr. Angela Yu. She's a doctor. Yeah. So I recommend taking her courses to learn how to create a website, okay, as well as how to create an app. Okay, so here's iOS apps here. I think she probably has an Android one somewhere as well. Okay, so I would start there. Anybody can do it, and Udemy makes it possible. It's great. So I would do that. Then, after you understand how to code and make that app, then what's important, because you want it to be free, is the number of subscribers. Okay, and what happens a lot of times is venture capitalists and investors get more excited about a company with a high number of subscribers, an app, than they do about the business model. And so when the management team of Snapchat was trying to raise money in the Valley, Evan was asking for money, and initially venture capitalists were like, "Wait a second, you're telling me that you have an app that I can use to take pictures and I lose the pictures? I don't want to do that. I don't want to lose pictures of my kids." And eventually he came back again and said, "Hey, remember me? I have 6 million subscribers." And those same venture capitalists were like, "Oh my God, it's the best business model ever." So all that matters is the number of subs. So how do you get subscribers to your business? Well, I think the best thing to do, and this is what Mark Benioff has done, is set up a lot of meetings with people in the media. Okay. And so you can download my book on how to network to meet journalists or anybody you want. Go to harounventures.com and download my networking book. And so what Mark Benioff did was he made friends with 50 of the top tech and finance journalists in the world. And he did so by being controversial. Controversy works when you're marketing. So I remember when he first launched his company, and I remember I had dinner with him at the top of the B of A tower with Tad Piper years ago, before the IPO. But he was very controversial. He was basically saying software is dead, and that was his logo even. Software is dead. Software with a line through it. And so a lot of people were like, whoa, what does that mean? And he would go on a lot of the talk shows, and he would network with journalists, and they loved it because it was very controversial. Software is dead, traditional client-server software, because cloud computing is the future for many, many reasons. So you have to be controversial, and that's how you get free publicity as well. And the same thing with Sir Richard Branson. He's done that his whole life. He's been very controversial. He has a motto. He says, "Screw it, let's do it." And I remember once years ago, what Sir Richard Branson did was he was launching a competing product to Coca-Cola. It was called Virgin Cola, and he rented a tank, and you can't do this today, obviously, but he rented a tank in the 80s, and he drove into Times Square with tons of his cola products on the tank, and he declared war on Coca-Cola. Very controversial, very controversial. And it works for him. That product didn't work out that well for him, but in general, being controversial works for him, and it works for Mark Benioff and many of the best entrepreneurs out there as well. And when you set up these meetings with the media, okay, what you'll notice when somebody writes an article about you, and this has happened with me before a bunch of times, I'm humble to say, but what will happen is you will see a spike in the number of subscribers to your app that you're going to create. And one data point might not make a trend, but after a couple of meetings with media officials, you might see a couple spikes in the number of subscribers of your free app. And then you got to strike while the iron's hot. Okay, that is the time to set up meetings with high net worth investors to be able to raise money. And you can use my book, and it will help you understand how to do so. I've raised and managed over $1 billion in my life, humbly, and I made a lot of mistakes. And I document how to do it in my book. So anyway, that's what I recommend, because relationships are more important than product knowledge. Okay. And you might, Elena, you might need to get somebody else that's very technical as well, if you don't enjoy the technical side, after you take that course by Angela Yu. You might need to find your Wozniak. And so Steve Jobs, God bless him, he wasn't very technical. He was more of a salesperson and a great marketing dude and a visionary. But he needed Steve Wozniak, his buddy, who was a techie, an engineer. That was his yin yang. You might need to find your Woz as well. And the best way to network for free to find your Woz is as follows. So you can go to, so what Steve Jobs did with Wozniak was they went to the Homebrew Computing Club, and eventually that's how they got discovered. That was old school. The way you do it now is you go to meetup.com, and then you just type in wherever you live, and then you type in what you're interested in. So say you want to find somebody that, I don't know, knows how to program Python for whatever reasons. You can enter in Python and where you live. Let me make this harder. Let me go Python, and let's go to Riyadh. There you go. And you can find events, okay? So, and a lot of these are in person, and because of COVID, a lot of them are remote as well, meaning just using Zoom. And let me just do a check here. Hold on a second, please. Okay, good, yeah. And so what you can do is you can go to these events and find your Wozniak, wherever you are in the world, so to speak. Yeah. And it's free. Okay. All right. Next up, V is asking, what convinces an investor to invest in a startup that is in the pre-revenue stage? What are the factors? Yeah. It's all about the management team. All about the management team. And there's a saying that you've all heard in the public markets, which is past performance is not indicative of future performance. Well, in the private markets, it is, in my humble opinion. What does that mean? Well, if you've been very successful in the past starting companies and you've had exits, etc., then the likelihood of you being successful again in the future is higher. And so you've got to analyze the management team. And if the management team is incredibly passionate about what they're doing, and they can sell you on their vision, that goes a long way, because early stage investors, they know that your business model and the market is going to change dramatically. But they want to know that you can get customers excited about whatever product it is you're selling. You know, like for example, Mark Benioff, he sold and still sells the most boring product in the world, but he makes it exciting: cloud computing. You know, something you can't see, feel, or touch. He's a great software evangelist and a great salesperson. So you have to be able to get entrepreneurs excited, or I should say investors excited, about the prospects of your business model and the industry in general. You know, and if you don't have experience, and if that's a showstopper, then what you can do is you can get advisors to join your board. And you can take a course of mine on Udemy called the Complete Business Plan course, or you can sign up for my MBA degree program, where I do something similar in a venture capital boot camp in the 3rd semester. But what I recommend doing is you get advisors that have had experience, so that will assuage investor concerns of the fact that maybe you don't have enough experience. I'll give you an example. So Mark Zuckerberg, he did not have experience starting a company when he started Facebook. And he had a bunch of advisors, like Peter Thiel, who was the first investor in Facebook, as well as the co-founder of PayPal. He also had Sean Parker, who is the founder of a peer-to-peer sharing service called Napster. And then he also had Justin Timberlake. Oh, sorry, that was just in the movie. But if you surround yourself with people that have done it, and have them on your advisory board, it goes a long way. And it makes investors feel more comfortable with the fact that if there's a gap in your skill set, and if you haven't done it before, you're surrounded by people that have done so. And you can always just download my networking book from my website to learn how to get these informational meetings. And so if you think about your business model, let's say you're creating a search engine, and you want people to take you more seriously, you can get people from Google by networking. You can get to them that can be advisors for free, right? They can sit on your board, ask. All you got to do is ask. And then you put them on your slides as well. And so on the second of 10 slides you have, when you list your management team, think of it like the Olympic ring set. You've got the 3 managers on the top, you and 2 buddies, whatever. And then you've got 2 advisors in the bottom. And you can put one of the advisors from Google with their logo, and another advisor as well. All right. I got to get some breakfast here. Give me a second. All right. My breakfast is greatest hits of every antioxidant you can find. Okay, let me get my propaganda off the screen here. All right, next question is from Victor, who's saying, "Hey, Chris, I hope you're well. Likewise. I'm making an analysis of Alibaba. Should I register the statements in US dollars, or is it better to use renminbi, or the Chinese yuan, Chinese currency?" Yeah. I don't think it matters. I just think that as long as you understand what the exchange rate is, and if the exchange rate in general changes, to be able to put that in your model as well. Yeah. And because the target price can be in US dollars. And then you can just take basically the target price in US dollars and then, transfer it to whatever currency Alibaba is traded at, or traded with in general. And always make sure to look at FX closely. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to show you something I'm putting together right now for my for my MBA degree students. It's a process I have of telling you how to analyze a company from scratch. So let me go here to the Finder. I've got a couple monitors going here, guys. Sorry. All right, so I'm going to open up this document up on this monitor here, and I will drag over to you to the other screen when it opens up in Excel. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Here, yeah. So it's a work in progress here, but I've got this spreadsheet here, and what I've done in this spreadsheet is there is 100 different steps, okay, to analyze a company from scratch. Okay, the products, the services, whether the company is in secular decline or cyclical growth mode. I've also got a ton of charts, and I made this in an object-oriented way with no coding, so that I could kind of group things and hide things as well within Excel. So let me just get a little bit more real estate here. So I analyze every aspect of the company, and this is one of the many tools I provide my students with. Everything, yeah. But what I also do is I have a section on foreign exchange. And the reason why I have foreign exchange listed is because, and it's here somewhere. I promise you. This is just a here it is. FX exposure. Yeah. The reason I have FX here as well is because you have to thoroughly understand what a company's exposure is to different currencies. And so if a company sells products in 10 different major markets, you need to know what the exchange rate is in those markets, because that will have a material impact on your sales and your profitability. And so what I do is I analyze which markets the countries or the company is exposed to. So which is what I do right here, geographic exposure. It's kind of tough to see here. And then after you do that, you have to be able to understand and articulate if the company has hedging in place, meaning if the dollar or the euro or whatever currency they're exposed to, if it moves a lot, what happens to their profits in that country? And a lot of companies like SAP, which is based in Waldorf, which is an hour and a half drive away from Frankfurt, I've been there many times to visit them, they hedge their US dollar exposure because a lot of their sales are in US dollars. And so you got to kind of understand it. There's so many different ways to analyze companies here. I have here revenue exposure by country as well. And this is all real data that links directly to the model. So this is a one-stop snapshot for all of my students to be able to analyze any type of company as well. And I'm a nerd, and I had a lot of fun doing this as well. All right, let me get back to questions here. All right. Next up, Emily is saying, Chris, I think you should post these webcasts as podcasts. I enjoy listening to webcasts when I'm commuting to work in the gym. I actually do have a podcast version of this, and I'll show you. I haven't done a good job publicizing it, but if you go to my website, harounventures.com, and if you scroll to the bottom, there's podcast right here. And so you can click there, and I'm on Apple, Spotify. I'm everywhere here. And so, we post it. And so this here is last week's. This is the week before, etc. So all of them. So I'll pick a random one here. Yeah. And so this here, it's just it's 3 hours long. It's just a rehash of the entire call. And you can even jump to any specific time slot you want to be able to learn and hear my questions I've answered on certain topics, etc. And so what I do and what I teach about in my MBA degree program is the importance of repurposing content, which is something that Nintendo has done forever. And we do a great case study on Nintendo as well in the program. It's fun. But Nintendo, part of their brilliance is a lot of the stuff that people buy from them is repurposed content that they created decades ago. And it's still very profitable from them. And so they'll repurpose the 8-bit, 16-bit versions of Mario, as well as 64-bit version, Mario 64, as well as more recently, in our case study, we looked at this closely, Galaxy, Super Mario Galaxy 1, although 2 is better, as well as Mario Sunshine from 02, and then Mario 64 in a product you can buy right now until March, then they're taking it off the market. But what they do is they repurpose content, and that's how they've been very, very profitable over time. And I believe in that business model too when it comes to creating social media content. And so from this weekly webcast, what I do is I create 7 vlogs that drop at 9 a.m. every day on YouTube. I also repurpose content by having shorter videos from this weekly call here that are part of Instagram, my Instagram videos or Twitter videos or LinkedIn, etc. And then I repurpose the whole thing as well for that podcast. Yeah. And when you guys write your book, and I've told you a lot about the template, harounventures.com/writebook. When you write your book, what you can do is you can gut the book, so to speak, by taking one chapter per week and just pasting it into LinkedIn. That's repurposing content. And you do the same thing as well over YouTube. You can make one video per week, etc. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, Michael. Michael is saying, I was watching old Office Hours number 50 when you were in Mississauga and saw you and your sister. I was so touched by what a loving relationship the two of you have. Yeah, she's the best. May God continue to bless all of you and your family. Thank you. And dude, I can't believe we're week 115 right now. I'll show you my sister. She's great. Her name is Elizabeth, but we call her Yaba because when I was a kid, I couldn't say Elizabeth. It was just too hard. But if you go to my website, on the top here, whoops, sorry, you can get all of my old webcasts. And I use automation software to add the webcasts here automatically and every vlog as well. It's just a little plugin, yeah, called Elf site, yeah. But let me show you my sister. It was number 50. My goodness, I've done a lot of these, eh? Yeah. Yeah. Here's my son. Yeah. Here she is here. Yaba. That's my little sister Elizabeth. Yeah, she's great. Yeah, and so I did office hours in Toronto. I was at my parents' place.
You're getting closer. The reason you can't see the top of the mountain anymore is because you're halfway up. And
yeah, and she got me.
There. Yeah,
she got me.
And I'll move this over
Tim
here.
Hortons coffee.
So we're both on the webcast together. And so, if I was a girl, I would look like this, but not as pretty, right?
Right.
And Yaba, we called her Yaba growing up because Elizabeth's kind of hard to say, right? So Yaba, that's what we called her.
Yaba.
Yeah, that's right.
Where do you see questions and
Dude,
stuff?
I did it again. I spilled. Look at this.
Look at
I
you.
spilled coffee.
Dude, I still spill coffee.
No, it's been documented on the internet now. I'm in trouble. So I see the questions here.
That's why I have a sippy cup here now with coffee. Yeah. So
30-second delay, and so
that's my little sister. She got me Tim Hortons coffee there. She's great. Yeah, she's awesome. I love her. I love both my sisters. Okay, there we go. Cool. That was fun. That was a fun one. That's right. Yeah. I miss her. Stupid COVID. We can't see her. It sucks. And Thanksgiving too. A lot of people are staying home. Although I don't think a lot of people will listen to it, to be honest. And you'll notice there'll be a lot of traffic outdoors anyway. Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Tony, who's saying, "Hi, Chris. Tony, thank you so much for the support on the course with Vital. I appreciate that. Thank you." So Tony wrote, "Hi, Chris. No specific question, but a thank you for your courses, the one course MBA and your general MBA program. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Appreciate it." And then Gamar wrote, "I watched Angela Yu on TEDx. Oh, cool. Very cool. That's right. She has great courses on Udemy too." Next up, we got Adam. Adam is saying, "Chris, you are clearly one of the most generous and open-minded individuals. Thank you. That I've ever had the privilege of listening to. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Thank you, and God bless you. I appreciate it. Thanks. This is fun." Next up, we have Naveed, who's saying, "Hi, Chris. Good evening. Good evening to you too. My great mentor. Thank you. I want advice on team management skills and how to provide timely feedback to people that I manage." Yeah. So what I would say is with newer employees, and I hate to micromanage, I really do. But with newer employees, and I manage my employees remotely because I have employees all over the place. Most of them I've never met. But what I do with new employees that don't have much experience is I have them send me an email every day initially. And in that email, there's 3 components to it. Number 1, what did you accomplish today? Number 2, what are you going to accomplish tomorrow? And number 3, issues or questions that you have. So that's what I do. That's what I do. What I also I'm a big proponent of is deadlines. So when we come up with goals as a team, we have deadlines as well. And I don't believe in meetings. unless they're definitely necessary. And I worked at enough big companies like Goldman Sachs, and now I understand why so many successful politicians come out of that place. But I don't believe in meetings unless they're necessary. Otherwise, people try to empire build, and it's a disaster. And my wife Christine, for Christmas a couple years ago, I got her a mug, a coffee mug, and on the mug it says, "I just survived, or I just attended another meeting that could have been an email." So I don't believe in bureaucracy and whatnot, but I do give my employees, the ones that have been with me for a while, after they hit the ground running, enough autonomy to be able to work on their own terms, work from anywhere in the world. I have employees everywhere. I give them laptops, state-of-the-art equipment. They work from everywhere, and they work the hours they want to work as well. And they all have great, balanced family lives. And so, yeah, it's been fun. And I give them enough autonomy that they take risks. They try to innovate new ways. And whenever they make mistakes, like I do, but whenever they make mistakes and they try something new, I don't get upset. I tell them I'm proud of you for trying something different. And if you're ever going to, and I learned this from Godfrey Sullivan, who was the CEO of Splunk, great company. I participated in the IPO years ago. So Godfrey Sullivan, he's no longer the CEO of Splunk. He retired. But I have a lot of friends that work for him. And I would ask them, what makes Godfrey so successful? And what made him very successful, among many things, is he would always praise in public and criticize only in private. There's nothing worse than being berated by your boss in front of your peers. And so I tend to offer a lot of positive encouragement. Yeah. And I make sure my employees love what they do to the extent that it's not a job, they're passionate about it. We're all part of a mission together to change the world through affordable education. So hire like-minded people that don't have a job, they have a passion. Yeah. Okay. All right. And I think that a good manager as well, Naveed, is somebody that listens. You know, I listen to my employees more than I talk at them. Yeah. Okay. And I always believe in hiring slowly and firing quickly. And I do talk about that. I hire very slowly, right? People usually intern with me for 6 months or longer even. And you're supposed to fire quickly. I'm two-faced because I can't do it fast enough. It usually takes me longer than other people, to be honest. But if you do hire slowly, then you'll make sure that somebody fits within your corporate culture to the extent that they won't destroy morale. But if somebody is hurting your corporate culture or bullying other people, and I hate bullies, if they do it once, you give them a warning, because one data point doesn't make a trend. If they do it again, you just gotta let them go. And every time you let somebody go, and it's hard, man, and I've been let go too, after you do it, they're usually better off anyway because they weren't doing what they're passionate about. But after you do it, you always tell yourself, gosh, I wish I did that ages ago. Because one employee, and I have not had an experience with a bad employee in years from a culture perspective, but one bad employee with just a negative attitude can destroy the entire company. Yeah. And I always love keeping my teams very small because I think a handful of people in a garage can change the world instead of a massive company where you go into those massive meetings where there's a lot of empire building, etc., and bureaucracy. Yeah. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Doesn't work. And Amazon, actually, Jeff Bezos, the way he runs his company is no meeting is ever allowed to take place. No meeting is ever allowed to take place that's got more than 2 pizzas. The 2 pizza rule. So you keep your teams small. Because we all know from work experience and school as well, that when we have group projects or meetings and there's too many people, nothing gets done. It's chaos. Okay. All right. Next question is from Rishab, who's saying, how will your MBA course help me developing an FMCG distribution business in India? I'm so sorry. I don't know what FMCG means. What are the advantages of your MBA program for business development? Yeah. So if you can let me know what FMCG means, I can humbly help you. But I teach generically enough that's applicable to students all over the world. And in my first class, I have 158 students. Okay, and there was 160 initially, but 2 asked for their money back in the first 30 days. But in my first class, I have 158 students, and we end the first year in early December, December 5th. We have graduation on the Saturday. And in my first class, there are people from 41 different countries. And I think about 11% of my first class is from India. And so what you can do is you can reach out to them and ask them. Actually, let me give you a guy's name who's pretty good, really good guy that you can reach out to, and I'm sure he'll be more than happy to talk to you. So what you do is go to my website, harounventures.com, and then go to the MBA degree programs here, and then student testimonials. And I got a ton of them here. So from all over the world. So reach out to Akil, okay? And here's his name here over on LinkedIn. He started his own company. Great guy. He's based in Hyderabad in India. Great guy. But reach out to him and just ask him for feedback on FMCG. He's very familiar with the market there. He's now creating a really cool company, which it's going to be health records online in India. And he reached out to 50 potential investors the other day through email using the concepts I've taught him. And 25 people responded to those emails. Yeah. So anyway, reach out to Akil if you want to. He's a great dude. Yeah. All right. Next up, Dario is saying, "Hey, Chris, I think I explained myself incorrectly. I meant Robinhood, Interactive Brokers, Ameritrade. What do you use? Sorry for being unclear." Yeah. So I'm not going to disclose who I use. There was a partnership that I was going to announce not too long ago that we canceled, but I can't disclose who I'm using. Yeah, thanks. But I do like Robinhood a lot. Yeah, especially because you don't pay commissions. All right. Next up, we got Casey. Casey's saying, "Hi, Chris. Hope all is well, and congratulations to you and Vital on Project Magoo. Thank you." And then you wrote, "Wishing you both much success with this new venture." Thank you. Appreciate it. It's been fun, and we're just getting started. Okay, Golam is saying, "Hi, Chris. What are your thoughts on affiliate marketing and SEO or Amazon affiliate marketing programs? Should someone do it for 2020? Yeah, it's an easy way to make money. I don't do this because I don't promote any products, and I never will sell out, ever. Although I do get approached a lot. But I do see a lot of YouTubers, what they'll do is they'll talk about products. And then if you go to the description field of that video, you can click through, and through the affiliate marketing program, they make money based on that. A lot of people do it. I don't do it, again, because I don't want to ever give the impression that I'm biased and I'm trying to, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, in terms of affiliate marketing, I have a lot of people, a lot of media publications will resell my my courses, and even the New York Post has been selling my MBA degree program, the lowest end version, the silver version, and tons of other media publications. And I do that through a company called Stack Commerce. So that's the affiliate marketing, one of the affiliate marketing companies that I partner with. Yeah. Okay. And my team, I've got a great company I'm working with called Ziggy Media. And they're the ones actually that have been, I give them 20% of the profits of my MBA program, with the stuff they sell. So it's a meritocracy. You eat what you kill. It's the best way to do it. And so what they've done is they created this landing page at harounmba.com. And this is using a product called ClickFunnels. And this is how they're reselling it. And they've done some advertising as well, which has worked out on the internet. It's really hard to spend money to promote $10 courses, right? You cannot make a living off of that and generate a return. But when you have, my program is $1,500, and there's the gold and the silver version, it can be very profitable if you do it that way as well. Yeah. The thing is with the gold and the platinum version, I'll never be able to scale it to have a billion customers because it's me giving you one-on-one, time. But I do have a lower end version called Silver, which you don't get access to me, which you can get on my website. If you're curious, and people say, Chris, is the Silver version gone? What's going on? No, it's still there. So if you go to learn.harounventures.com, you'll see it's right here. And that's where you don't get access to me. It's like Netflix, just stream. Yeah. And this one here is where the revenue potential is the best longer term. But the second I do this just for the money is the second I got to pack it up, pack it in, and stop doing what I'm doing. Because if you chase money, you lose your dreams. Yeah. All right. Next up, Manas is saying, it's a question of Pratik. Okay, I'll skip that one. Casey is saying, does Udemy have any specific requirements for someone to become an instructor? What support do they provide in helping instructors in their programs? Yeah. So they have a ton of resources, and anybody can teach. Anybody can do it. And everybody has something to teach. And there's been great success stories of people that teach how to bake bread that have done well. And even Ninja, the guy from Twitch, the Fortnite dude, he started out teaching on Udemy as well. So you'll find that there's a lot of stars that teach on Udemy as well, like Andre Agassi, Dan Rather, Seth Godin. And there's a lot of just, regular people like me. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. In terms of support, there's a ton of great online supports. There's a community program as well, instructor support, where instructors can help each other as well. And just navigate through the Udemy website. You'll find it there. There's plenty of videos they provide on how to make courses as well. And before you publish a course, they look at the quality of the video and audio as well. And if it's not good enough for you to be able to sell a lot because their interests are aligned with you, they'll provide you feedback and help you make it better too. All right. In Tanzil, you want me to look at your LinkedIn profile, and you provide me the link there. Before I do so, just remind me, please, who is going to be reading it so I can think like that person when I provide you feedback. Thanks. Okay. Next up, Saj is saying, is there a difference between an ETF and an index fund? Yeah. So an ETF, I'll show you what an ETF is, and I'll talk about index funds too. So an ETF, think about Venn diagrams. An ETF can be an index fund, and it can include that, but it's best for me to show you an example. All right. So let's go to finance.yahoo.com, and never pay for any software, please. When it comes to stocks. But if we type in SPY, okay, and this here is an ETF representing an index, the S&P 500 index, okay, and the holdings of the S&P 500, and let me just hide my ugly mug here so you can see what's underneath me. The holdings here of the S&P 500, it's in these 11 sectors here, okay, and then the top 10 stocks are listed here in this index. So this is an exchange traded fund for you to buy the S&P 500, meaning the 500 stocks that broadly represent the American economy. In terms of the pricing, this is important. It's really cheap. It's 0.09% to invest in this ETF. This ETF is an index because this index is the SPY index fund. There are other ETFs that are not an index. So if I want to just buy gold, GLD, okay, which is the best way to buy gold, which is how I do it, I buy ticker GLD. This is an ETF, but it's not an index because the only thing that's in this thing is gold, right here, gold. Let me get my face back here, sorry. So GLD is an example of an ETF that is not an index. And there's many other examples too. You can do silver, if you want to. You can also do oil drillers, the OIH, right? And this is an index of, or an ETF of just a bunch of drillers, okay, like Transocean and a bunch of others. Yeah. And there you can actually look and get ETFs for every country as well, indexes. So EWC is for Canada, represent, that's where I'm from originally. You can do it for Brazil, which is EWZ. I have to say Z, that's how we say it in Canada, yeah, etc. And if you have additional questions, let me know, please. Thanks. All right. Next up, Tanzila is saying, can I write the courses which I've taken on Udemy on my resume? Yeah, I recommend doing so. It can only help. It can only help. And people have been doing this for decades. You know, like, for example, people used to take Microsoft Developer Network or MSDN courses and get certifications, certificates of completion, and they put that in their resume. People are doing that with Cisco as well for networking stuff. Yeah, people have been doing it for forever. Yeah, definitely do it. All right. Next up, Melody. Melody is saying, happy Thanksgiving. Chris just wanted to pop in and say hi. Hey, Melody. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your wonderful family, to your husband, your son, and your daughter as well, who I've met, I guess, a couple times over this webcast. First time I met them was October 31st, 2019. We have that webcast archived, of course, which was 9.5 hours straight. And I met them, I remember, before they went out trick-or-treating. So I hope you and your family also have a great Thanksgiving. And I'm looking forward to working with you in the MBA degree program this year. Melody is a student. Next up, we got Harshed, who's saying, hey, Chris, I recently dropped out of a Big Four and I'm training on venture startup in wholesale distribution in India. How will the MBA course be helpful? Is it right to start something now in these COVID times? Yeah, now is the best time to start a company. The best time to start a company is technically in a recession because you have less competition. And I think a lot of people are going to look back upon COVID, and it was an awful, dark period in human history. However, a lot of people are going to look back and say, you know what? While everyone else was complaining, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And that's when I started my online company. That's what a lot of people are going to say. And it costs you nothing to start a company online. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be here in Shallow Alto to be able to do it. You can do it from anywhere in the world. The cost of computing continues to drop materially. And if I can have any part of that in helping you to start your company through my courses or my MBA degree programs, then I've humbly done my job. Yeah. And so you wrote, how will the MBA course be helpful? Well, I teach you. The best way to learn about the MBA program is join me tomorrow at, I'll provide you with all the details on screen here. Join me tomorrow on my open house program, or you can watch a replay of it. And I discuss the MBA program in a lot of detail. You can also go to www.harounmba.com to learn more about the program, or you can go to my website as well. And you can read all the testimonials from customers. A bunch of them are in India as well. You can reach out to them and reach out to Akil, who I showed. You can rewind this webcast about 5 minutes. I showed his profile on LinkedIn. He's one of my great students in India, and you can talk to him or any of my other students in India that have taken the program. Yeah, it'll add tremendous value or your money back. Okay. All right. Next up, Ramon is saying, just dropping by. Happy Thanksgiving to all. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. See you tomorrow, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the call. It'll be fun. You guys will love it. And everybody that joins and registers gets a free course of mine, as well as there's a bunch of prizes. And so I'm going to be giving away 100% scholarship to my gold MBA program and my platinum, and a one-on-one as well. And everybody that registers, you can register right by going to this side here. Yeah, that website there. Everyone that registers gets a free course as well. Yeah, I look a little bit yellowish today, huh? I think I changed the color on the lighting there, the Kelvins. Yeah. Okay. Next up, we got Casey, who's saying, please tell us more about Project Magoo. Absolutely. Will students need to be there at certain times to watch courses online together? And what age groups are you catering for? Also, is there an elementary school there? Yeah. So we're building initially a computer science lab in Magoo. It's the first of many of these labs we're going to build. And there's going to be solar on the roof as well that's going to power the computers and tablets that we're going to have in that building. And so it's going to target initially to high schoolers or younger, okay, initially. And there's going to be one person that's going to administer the building to watch over it. And then people will come in, students will come in, and they can take online courses. Of course, they'll get all of my courses for free and a bunch of other courses from other people as well. And so what will happen is the administrator will help them to get online and started with it. And there will be multiple language versions as well. And so Vital, who speaks French, and a lot of people in Africa, hundreds of millions of people in Africa speak French as well. He just released the French version of my course called An Entire MBA in One Course. So, of course, that will be available there for the students as well. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And I promise you, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes with it, but we'll learn. We'll learn. Vital won't make mistakes, just me. Vital's an engineer too, which is why he can make this possible. And he does go back quite often to visit Rwanda as well, to see his mom there. As well. It's been tough. Like we wanted to, I sent over the first 10K to get started earlier this year. But it's been tough because of COVID to be able to do the construction. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah. Okay. Next up, I've got, let's see here. Hey, Juan, how are you? Juan David is one of my amazing students who's done 2 TEDx talks already. He's a teenager. I know. It's amazing. And he's written an incredible book, which is called Generation Optimism, which I ordered. And he wrote on the back, I reviewed the book along with the Chicago Tribune, I think. He's great. He's great. He's from Venezuela. He's had a difficult life, which he documented in his book, but he's remained very optimistic and inspiring as well. Hope you're doing well, bud. And you wrote, Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. I haven't been able to come to the live stream lately. I've missed them, and I hope you're doing well. I do get your weekly email on the weekends still from your website. So yeah, I'm still there with you. Thanks. And then Naveed is saying, great tip on creating a book out of a training session. Thank you. Yeah, I just go to I get all my courses closed caption, and then I export the closed captions and I make a book. Not with all my courses, but a lot of them. Yeah. All right. And Naman is saying, what is integrated marketing communication approach to marketing? Yeah. I'm not familiar with that. Maybe it has something along the lines of using a Hootsuite. So I used to use Hootsuite. It's this platform where you can send out many social media posts at the same time. It's free to use for the first 30 posts, and then you pay for it. So it's a Canadian company, represent Hootsuite. And so what you can do here, and I used to use, I don't think we're using it anymore, but you'd be able to post many platforms at once. Let me see if they are. And this is just reading what I've already done. Okay, so it's not, this is not, but these aren't real posts. But if I wanted to, I could post Instagrams, Facebook, Twitter, etc. here through a more integrated approach. The problem I find with using platforms like that is it won't let you upload large videos yet. Okay, large videos. And the problem is if you just provide a link to a YouTube video, when you publish a video on LinkedIn, for example, LinkedIn penalizes you, which makes sense because you're basically giving mind share or market share, whatever, click share to YouTube, which is a competing platform, sort of. So you have to upload the videos natively to different social media platforms, which you can't really do through Hootsuite. Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got, and let me just do a quick time check here. We're good. We got another, just over half hour left. Awesome. I usually don't look at the time. It's kind of like when you go to a movie. If you look at your watch, you're like, oh my God, I'm not enjoying it. That's the measure of a good movie, when you don't check the time once. All right. Next up, Gregory. Hey, Gregory, how are you, man? Every time I see your name, I smile because I think of that great character, Gregory, from the TV show Succession, which is the best business television fictional program out there. And one of the 8 million Culkin brothers is in it. I can't keep track. There's so many of them. Yeah. Thanks. And then you wrote another great call today. Thank you. Thank you. All right, cool. And give me 1 second, guys. Okay, next up, we've got Melody is saying it's grind time for my second side hustle. Awesome. Awesome. And you wrote, it will pass. It's short term. Yeah, it's grind time for me too here. I've worked so hard my entire life. When I was younger, they thought I had a learning disability in the 6th grade and the 8th grade. They were wrong, but it motivated me to work hard, very, very hard. So I'm glad it happened in hindsight. But I've worked hard my whole life, but I've never worked as hard as I've worked this year. Putting together this MBA program, which has been so much fun. Yeah, it's great. But we're crunch time because I've got graduation for my first cohort of students, my platinum students, on December 5th, which is Saturday. And we can't do it in person, which sucks because of COVID, but we will next year. Next year, I'll have them, my students, if they want, to come to the second graduation. And I'm going to rent the Hiller Space Museum here in San Mateo. And I'm renting the Space Museum actually in January because they have a 747 that I'm renting because we're gonna film a promotional trailer, another one for my MBA degree program. It's going to be fun. And the way we're going to set it up, and I've got a dad who made all my other wonderful trailers in the past. The way we're going to set it up is on this 747, which was taken out of commission. It's just a fuselage. It was taken out of commission in the early 70s. But I'm going to be in the cockpit. I'm going to be a pilot, and I'm going to come out, and I'm going to walk into regular class, and I'm going to say, you've all been upgraded to business class. And they'll come into the business class or first class lounge, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun, yeah. All right, next up, we got Rado, who's saying, hi, Chris. I love what you do and how you do everything regarding videos, streaming, Udemy, training, etc. Please continue to do so. Regards, Robert from Hungary. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate that. God bless you. And then you wrote, I'm an executive manager, and I'm still learning a lot. Some from you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. When one teaches, two learn. So I'm learning a lot. Yeah. Next up, Naman is saying, what are the most precious qualities of an entrepreneur? Yeah. So I think a positive attitude is important. The glass is not half empty. The glass is not half full. My cup overfloweth with optimism. So I think a positive attitude is important. I also believe that you have to be relentless and just understand that every time you fail, it's a badge of honor because you're getting closer and closer to success. Also, a great entrepreneur has to be a great salesperson, kind of like a CEO. How do they make it to CEO? You have to sell yourself and your business and your dream as well. Yeah. And you have to be confident and just tell yourself that I just don't give a damn what people think of me. This is my life. I'm going to make my dent in the universe. I'm going to fail a lot. But you know what? In business, you only have to be right one time. Yeah. And then you wrote, how do you become a great entrepreneur? And so I mentioned all those aforementioned qualities. The most important one, Naman, I really think is confidence. Just going against the grain and conventional wisdom and not giving a damn what anybody thinks of you. And don't be afraid to fail. And ask for help as well. Asking you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. But the most important thing I can tell you is to condition yourself to, starting today, say, I don't give a damn what anybody thinks of me or my business or the way I look or my last name or whatever career I'm choosing. I'm going to go out there and make a difference. I'm going to put my dent in the universe. And yeah, I'm going to fail a lot. But again, I only have to be right one time. All right. Manas has a wonderful quote here from Mother Teresa, who's one of my heroes. Why isn't it somebody doesn't make a great movie about her? She's awesome. But Manas said here, the quote is, some people come in your life as a blessing, and some people come in your life as a lesson. I love it. I love it. And I got to meet with Mother Teresa's photographer at a charity event I went to at a school called Sarah a couple of years ago. And he said his favorite quote from her is that she doesn't judge people because it takes away from, time that she can have to think about how much she loves them. Yeah. All right. And Naman is saying, this is the first time I'm attending a live session of yours. It's useful, and I'm getting a lot of knowledge from it, and I like it. Thank you. And then you wrote here, keep up the good work and continue to do so. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Alain also said, thank you very much. Thank you. And dude, I've made so many mistakes with it. Like I still make mistakes doing this sort of thing. I messed up the color. I look kind of orangish today. So I'm going to have to recalibrate the color in this later. But this is week 115. We've come a long way, but I still make a ton of mistakes. But it's been fun. And I'm never going to stop doing this till the day I die, when I'm 200 years old. All right. And Robert is saying, Chris, what would you do if you'd like to start a company without the needed idea? And then you wrote in brackets, I mean, without knowing what to sell. A lot of ideas don't work in small countries like Hungary. Yeah. So I think that failing to plan is planning to fail. And that's kind of a cheesy quote. But I really do believe that you have to write a business plan first before you start a company. And I have a course called the Complete Business Plan course on Udemy. Or if you take my MBA degree program, I put you through a more rigorous venture capital boot camp in the 3rd semester. But you have to write a thorough business plan. You do. And if you write that business plan with my course and it convinces you not to start a company, I've done my job. Look, I'm a positive person. And yes, I want you to start a company. But I want you to write a couple business plans first until you find one that's perfect. And you'll know it's a great business if you finish the business plan. Because a lot of business plans or investment research write-ups I've done, I've never finished them. Because after doing the due diligence using my frameworks, I've discovered that, hey man, this is not a great business model, or this is not a great investment. So I would write a complete business plan first. In my complete business plan course, it helps you analyze every major aspect of a company from scratch, everything, to the extent that you'll understand qualitatively and quantitatively if the business model makes sense. And I'm working on doing something for my MBA students that I'm really excited about now, which is, let me see here if I got to open. Yeah, here it is right here. It's work in progress. But this here is, this is not for a business plan. This is for analyzing any type of investment. And it's tough for you guys to see here. I'm sorry. But it's 100 steps. You know, the qualitative analysis, the quantitative analysis, and then the financial research analysis as well down here. And I make it fun. I make it interactive as well. It's intuitive. I also have lots of charts, etc. It's a lot of fun. But the whole point of this framework here is just so my students can, look at 100 different critical success factors to decide whether or not this company makes sense to start or not, including financials, everything. And a report is created out of this, and an executive summary as well as a lot of really fun dashboarding tools as well here. Yeah. But I think that you have to have some sort of framework to test your ideas out first. And I provide you with a ton of frameworks I developed for you in my MBA degree program. And if you don't have the time to take the program, I'd love to have you, Robert. But if you don't have the time, you can go to Udemy and take my complete business plan course as well. I think that will help a lot. All right. And my favorite book was published by a Hungarian. My favorite business book. It's called Only the Paranoid Survive by the late, great Dr. Andy Grove. He was one of the co-founders of Intel. Yeah. He's had an amazing life, or had an amazing life. God bless him. Yeah. And a buddy of mine, his girlfriend was his assistant. And Andy Grove has this badass elliptical trainer. And my buddy Joel Burns, his name, sent me a picture of it and said, Andy doesn't need it anymore. Obviously, do you want it? And really nice guy. All right. Next up, Venice wrote here, how do we apply for a scholarship? Yeah. So join tomorrow's call. There will be a couple of 100% scholarships that are announced. And if send me a LinkedIn message. I'll take care of you. Thanks. Okay. All right, and with respect to FMCG, somebody asked a question about my thoughts on FMCG, and whether my MBA program would help with this sort of thing. And I asked, what does that stand for? Maybe the fact that I don't understand what that means you shouldn't sign up for it. But FMCG stands for fast-moving consumer goods. Okay. Okay. You mean companies like Procter and Gamble, you wrote here, or Henkel, Tesco, etc. Yeah. Well, I teach you every aspect of business, including a go-to-market strategy. We look at the supply chain as well, etc. And probably the best way for me to just really quickly show you is just with this. This is just one of many platforms I provide you with. And so we look at the BOM, the bill of materials. Okay. And then in this example here, this is for Apple with inputs here. And then we look at the average selling price and volume as well, right? And so this comes in handy when it comes to FMCG, I guess, as well, because we analyze all aspects of a business model, including the supply chain and the bill of materials and the go-to-market strategy. But let me see, where's that chart I have here? Here it is here. Here's the bill of materials, etc. And we look at top-down analysis as well, and we look at demographics of each country that you're exposed to as well. So we analyze every aspect of companies, and we do plenty of case studies as well, so that you'll learn a ton or your money back. Yeah. All right, next up, Elena is saying, just one more question. Do you have it? Ask as many as you want, please. That's why I'm here. Do you have an idea why I'm always tired, low in energy, and unmotivated? How can I develop passion? Thank you so much for answering our questions. God bless you. Thank you, and God bless you more. Yeah. So when it comes to energy, and I do have an advanced scheduling system that I've developed for my students so that they can have more energy during the MBA program and have the best time management skills and accomplish a lot more. But a lot of it comes down to exercise and diet. And so you are what you eat. And everyone's into organic stuff these days, so I guess you are what you eats. I consume, and there's a lot of green vegetables in this here. This is my petit déjeuner, my breakfast, yeah. But I consume every antioxidant I can think about. And I teach you my diet and biohacking stuff as well in the MBA degree program. Or you can just take a course of mine called 30-Day Challenge to a More Successful and Much Happier You. And that 30-day challenge course is on Udemy. But I consume a lot of water as well, never enough. On my iPhone, I have this water app as well. And then I also, I biohack a lot to the extent that, and please do your research on what I'm about to tell you first. Do your research, talk to a doctor and all that stuff. But my cognitive abilities, I'm humble to say, have gone through the roof in the past 5 years. Because for the past 5 years, I've been drinking, again, do your research, bulletproof coffee every day. And so all that bulletproof coffee is coffee with some MCT oil in it, which is like coconut oil. Do your research, because if you put in too much initially, you'll get stomach aches. And then I do something that people have been doing for hundreds of years, which is this. I put a tablespoon of organic grass-fed butter in this coffee. And I don't put milk or sugar in it, and it tastes good. I mean, the butter makes it taste like cream, I guess. And people have been doing that for hundreds of years. And it gives you great cognitive abilities. And it helps you have great abilities to focus. Kind of like that movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper. Except he took a drug in that, which is wrong. Yeah. And what I also do, which helps me out materially, is I walk, 20 to 30,000 steps a day without leaving this room. How do I do it? Well, what I do is I have a treadmill below me, and I wear this is out there, but I wear my Apple Watch on my ankle, right? So I can keep track of all my steps. And the reason I wear it on my ankle, I know it's out there, is because when I'm working and walking on my treadmill, right, and I just push a button here, and it goes all the way up. Right, and then you'll see my messy desk, and I take my chair off, and I walk while I'm working. And I don't have the other camera set up now to show you, but there goes the autofocus. When I walk while I'm working, I'm typing, right? And so my Apple Watch can't count the steps here. You know what I mean? So I wear it at my ankle, which is out there right now. It's a couple $100. It's called Fitbill, the walker. It's cheaper than other walkers because there's no rails around it. And this desk is made by a company called Fully, F-U-L-Y. And the model of this desk is the Jarvis. And I bought the desk for my employees as well, the one that goes up and down. And I find that when I walk, and I don't even realize I'm doing the 20,000 or 30,000 steps. But I find that when I walk, I'm able to retain a lot more information. And I do a lot of work on the elliptical trainer as well. I'm not going to sit at my desk and read. Because when you're, and I have my laptop, my iPad, my elliptical trainer in the garage. Because when you treat this well, this works much gooder. Especially later in the day when you're fading. And I find that if you take in a lot of oxygen, your mind is like a muscle. It can retain a lot more information. So that's what I do. And it helps out tremendously. And if I didn't do this, I would not be able to create hundreds and hundreds of hours of content that I create every year or do what I'm doing right now, right here. So that's what I do. That's what I do. And I do work out with my son, Andrew, in the garage a couple times a week. It's a great way to bond with your 16-year-old. Yeah. Because by the time your kid is 12 years old, you've already spent 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them. And that's why, as awful as COVID has been, the silver lining is I get to bond with my kids and with Christine. And it's kind of dark here today, but those are them back there. Yeah. Laser as well for the cat. Yeah. We have a cat. Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, another way for you to have higher energy is to, get 7 or 8 hours sleep every night, of course. And also to do what you love doing. It's if you wake up in the morning and you tell yourself you're going to work, then with all due respect, you're doing it wrong. And I say it with love in my heart. You got to do what you're passionate about in life. And you might not find it for a while. For me, it took me till my 40s to find my passion, which is teaching. And, I changed careers so many times. Successfully, from consulting to venture capital to hedge funds to start my own hedge fund, venture capital firm. I've done a lot of things. And my happiest day was always day one when I made that career change. And I thought I was clinically depressed. And I realized I'm just not doing what I'm passionate about. And even when I was in the eighth grade and the 6th grade, they wanted to fail me in school. And the reason I was doing poorly, and I have the best parents ever, the reason I was doing poorly is because I wasn't doing what I was passionate about. And so my dad bought a Mac Plus for the house. I still have it. And that changed my life because I realized that I just want to be like an artist and create. Kind of like when I create an Excel document, I feel like that's a palette and I'm Bob Ross and I'm creating. It's fun to be creative in business. But you got to find out what your raison d'etre is. What is your passion? What is the reason you were put on this earth? And ignore everybody else and just do what you were meant to do. And maybe you have to go on a long walk by yourself for like 10 hours, which I do. And you write down what your perfect life is in 10 years. And then you focus on filling that gap. But make sure it's not about just chasing money. And I get it. When we're younger, we need money. We always need money to be able to survive. But you get to a point where enough is enough, man. It can't just be about chasing money your whole life. You got to do something that gives you a sense of purpose. Leaving this world, making your mark, and making the world a better place. A better place than when you entered it, for example. And we change too. We get older and our passions change. It happens. It happens. And so you got to continually reinvent yourself. And I think you can use online education as a catalyst for change. It's certainly cheap enough, and there's always money back guarantees as well. But you wake up in the morning and tell yourself going to work, you're doing it wrong. You got to find your passion, your raison d'être. Yeah. And once you find your passion, then your motivation will increase materially to the extent that it doesn't feel like you're working. Like, I'm not working now. This is freaking fun, man. I'm having a good time. But you got to take your breaks as well, and I'll be self-critical. The past couple of weeks, I've been working really hard on Sundays as well, wrapping up the first MBA degree program. And the candle is burning at both sides for me right now. It is, I'm being honest. But you have to take your breaks and take off at least one day a week because, our forefathers and foremothers, they knew thousands of years ago that, one of the 10 rules to live our lives by is to take one day off a week. And whether that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But you'll burn out. Even God said he created the world in 7 days, or 6 days he rested on the seventh. And that was just kind of to let us know, hey, man, he doesn't need to rest, but we do. Take that one day off a week or you'll burn out. And, just have faith knowing that if you chase your goals and you ignore everybody else, eventually they'll come true. And don't worry. Don't worry. I mean, there's a great quote from Sir Winston Churchill, which is, he said this. He said, I once met a man who on his deathbed talked about all the worries he had in his life, none of which came true. And so when it comes to career, I never worry. I used to. I don't anymore. But I don't worry because I tell myself, God already knows what's going to happen. And that gives me peace of mind. Okay. Next up, I've got a question from, and give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. All right. Next up, Mohammed is saying, I'm considering investing in an esports startup called Juked, Juked. Can I get your thoughts on the startup? It's listed on Republic. The problem is the company is pre-revenue. Yeah. Oof. Okay, so that's it. I'm bullish on the esports market, very bullish. I think it's only a matter of time until we have esports athletes, so to speak, that make more money than all other professional athletes. And God bless Diego Maradona. He just passed away way too young at 60. The guy was amazing. Yeah. I'm very bullish on the business, incredibly bullish. But I can't just answer it quickly for you. I think what you have to do is a lot of investment research. And if you want, what you can do is you can join my MBA degree program. And I provide you with a spreadsheet that will actually go through 100 different steps, as you can see here, okay, on analyzing the qualitative aspects of a company. And we always start with management, okay, always. And then the quantitative aspects and the financials. And we always end with technical analysis, the most important thing. Yeah. But we look at a bunch of different frameworks, Michael Porter 5 Forces, product lifecycle, the Boston Consulting Group, the SWOT analysis, a bunch of my own frameworks I've created for you, geographic, tons of things. We look at tons of different charts, whatever as well. But it's hard for me just to be able to crystallize my thought process in 1 or 2 steps here to analyze that company for you. So sign up for my MBA degree program. And I'll walk you through a number of different frameworks to analyze a company. So hopefully that's somewhat helpful. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. And the question is, how do I know if a company is worth investing in if it's pre-revenue? You got to look at the size of the total addressable market. And then you also have to look at the management team closely. And you also have to build out the financial statements for the next 5 or 10 years. So you can analyze how profitable a company might be. And I help you value companies using various methodologies as well. And we take an average target price using 3 different valuation methodologies. So you can minimize the margin of error. And that's part of the finance track in the MBA degree program. Yeah. All right, next up, we got Michael from Sonoma, who's saying, what do you think are the top 3 things that have led to the success you've had in both your personal and professional life? Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. I made a lot of mistakes. And as Michael Jordan said, I failed over and over and over again. That's why I succeed. That's why MJ succeeds, not me. So I would say number 1 is a positive attitude. You know, I've never met anybody successful that's had a negative attitude. And when I was younger, in my 20s, I did something which I humbly think is very smart, which is I cut off everybody in my life that has a negative attitude. You know, it's kind of like hanging out with smokers. You might smoke as well. And it's the funniest thing. This is awful to say. But when I go to Canada in the winter, which isn't that often, but when I go back to Canada and I'm driving downtown Toronto, you see these smokers coming out of these big office towers, freezing. It's like they're dying 2 different ways. It's the craziest thing. But I think that we are all product of our environment. So number 1 for me is, you know, change your environment, you change your life. Hang out with positive people only, or nobody. You know, you're not a tree, you can move. Cut off negative people in your life. And only hang out with like-minded people that have positive attitudes. It's like when you're younger and your parents would say, I don't want you hanging out with that person because they do drugs. And then you're like, Mom, Dad, he doesn't do drugs. He did drugs. You know what I mean? So your parents help to choose your friends for you when you're younger. Now we're old enough, we can choose our own. So choose only positive influences. And when I was younger, it was, 5 strikes, you're out. I would let people walk all over me. Now it's 1 strike, you're out. I don't have time for that. And neither should any of my students. So attitude's important because no successful entrepreneur has done so with a negative attitude. And if they've had a negative attitude, partially because of people around them, cut them off. So that's number 1 for me, is a positive attitude. Number 2 is I ask a lot. I've always had a lot of mentors, a lot of Yodas. Ask and you will receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Ask people to mentor you, and they will. Like my best friend growing up, or when I worked in my 20s, guy with a positive attitude named Jason Denny. Great guy. And he it's infectious. He had a positive attitude, and so did I as well. Yeah. So make sure to get mentored. It doesn't have to be mentored by people that are older. It can be by people that are younger as well. And if you work in a big company, you should have multiple Yodas or mentors in different departments. And if you don't work in a big company, you could still have lots of mentors as well. Just reach out and ask. And your homework today is to search YouTube for 3 words: Steve Jobs ask. And it's a very short video that is life-changing because Steve Jobs tells you from a young age how he asked Bill Hewlett for help. Ask and you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Okay. The third thing for me is balance. And this one's tough. This one's hard for me. But balance. Being able to balance time with family. Yeah, I love my family. They're so patient. Okay, balance. Also balance in terms of getting enough exercise. And I multitask. So when I work, I'm exercising. I'm walking on my treadmill here. Balance also in terms of rest and vacation. And I remember when I started working at Goldman Sachs many years ago, I had a client in Toronto, and her name is Rhonda Chang. She works at Manulife, and she gave me great advice. She said, Chris, from a balanced perspective, the first thing you should do when you come back from vacation is open up your calendar and book your next vacation 6 months out. Okay. Next up, Gamara is saying, how do I watch your call tomorrow? Yeah. Thank you. So all you have to do is just go to this website here. That's this. I can't do it. It's over here, right there. go to that website there to register, and then you'll get details on how to watch it. It'll be on YouTube as well. So if you go to my my YouTube page, you'll see it there as well. If you register, you're in the draw for getting the prizes and stuff, but you don't have to. So if you go to my YouTube page here, let me see if I can get there. Okay. My channel right here. Okay. It will show up right here as well. It should come up first. Yeah. Right here as well. Kind of like this is here right now. Yeah. But I think if you register, it's easier because you'll get an email with the details, and you can always unsubscribe to my email address, email stuff. And if you ever get too many emails from anybody, every week do a search on your inbox on the word unsubscribe, and then unsubscribe to a bunch of emails, including the ones from me if you want. Yeah. Okay. And then Naman is saying, is Eric Andreas a good guitar teacher to learn from online? I'm so sorry. I used to play a little bit of classical guitar. I played violin as well growing up, Suzuki methodology. I just don't know. Sorry. Okay. But the way that you don't have to be able to read sheet music to be great in music. Like Paul McCartney has never read sheet music. He doesn't know how. And John Lennon taught Paul McCartney on how to play guitar. One of them was right-handed, the other left-handed. And so, John taught Paul by saying, look in that mirror. And that's how they did it, the reverse. Vangelis also, who did the soundtrack for the original Blade Runner, which I love that soundtrack, and Chariots of Fire. He doesn't know how to read music either. Yeah. So, all right. And then Michael Reynolds from Sonoma is saying, I did a 90-day raw food lifestyle, and I had more energy and clarity of mind than at any time in my life. If it wasn't for that intensity and time needed for the prep, I would do it every day. Yeah, no, absolutely. And what I do is, so I don't really consume much meat. I like fish. But what I do is, because I'm so jammed, is I use this company called dailyharvest.com. And Daily Harvest delivers 7 meals to me throughout the week, all organic in frozen box, whatever it is. And so what I'll do is every morning I'll pour in the Daily Harvest organic vegetables. And here I'll put in a bunch of other stuff too, like acai powder, whey protein, fish oil, and a bunch of other stuffs. Flax seeds as well. You have to do that for your guy. And a bunch of other things too. And I'll blend it up in my NutriBullet blender. And that's my first meal of the day. Yeah. Yeah. And then Michael wrote, any FIO's raw food recipes are awesome. I've never heard of that, but I'm going to take a little screen print. Thank you. Thanks. Cool. And then Melody wrote, I'm saving up for a treadmill to put under my desk like you. Awesome. Awesome. And you got a sweet setup there too. And I remember you have, we did one of those webcasts. You've got the Canon M50, which looks dope. It's awesome. It's a good camera too. And then you wrote, I'm needing to integrate more exercise since now 90% of my work is on a computer. Dude, it's the best investment you'll make is getting a treadmill. It costs a couple $100. Mine's called FitBill. And, my office here is like a Michael Bay production. He's the dude that did Transformers, that got into the fight with Megan Fox, which is why you don't see Megan Fox movies anymore. Oh my God, I talk a lot. But this is like a Michael Bay production, because what I do is that I move the chair over, and then this desk here transforms into a higher up desk, whatever it is. And then what I do is I exercise. Yeah. And without it, I would not be able to do even 10% what I'm doing now. Yeah. Treat this right, and this works a lot gooder. Yeah. Okay. All right, and next up, Melody said, I'm going to do that, wear the Fitbit on my ankle. Do I like Fitbit a lot better than the Apple Watch? Like, the only thing I use this thing for, to be honest, is steps. But the Fitbit's great, yeah. And this doesn't work for steps all the time. It's not that great. But if you put it on your ankle, I know it's crazy. But I don't know if you can use different camera angle here. But what I did was I actually made another hole here. There we go. Just so it would fit. Yeah. This thing, my ankle. Yeah. Cray, but it works. All right. Hold on a second. Oops. All right. And then Melody said, Fit Bill. Yeah, it's the name of the treadmill. It works. It's great. He wrote, I will look into it. Jason says hi. Hey, Jason, how are you? Okay. And I remember your son, when he came on the call, your younger son, he said that we have one son, one daughter. He said my last name perfectly. He said, hi, Mr. Haroun. Call me Chris, please. Most people don't get it right, though. You got a smart kid. We used to go to dinner. They used to page us. They'd say, heroin, party of five. Heroin, party of five. Yeah. All right, next up we got Patch, who's saying, salutations, Mr. Haroun. Chris, please. I was curious if you still recommend your series on Amazon Prime. Yeah. I mean, I started, so Amazon reached out to me 5 years ago, or almost 5 years ago, in the summer of 2016. And they said, we're going to launch online courses. And we want to launch with your courses. And we want to send out a press release mentioning your courses. I was like, oh my God, this is it. I've been made. This is it. It's Amazon. It's the gold standard. And I was like, hell yeah. And so I spoke to them about it. And I uploaded my an entire MBA in one course. And interestingly, I get more students that are taking my MBA degree program that found out by taking my Amazon Prime version of an entire MBA in one course than any other source. And so I did it. And then I realized the revenue wasn't as great as it could be because, Amazon doesn't really promote anything, whereas Udemy does, which is why Udemy is better than Amazon. But Amazon, the way you do it is they make you set up like it's a television series. And they haven't changed the infrastructure in 5 years. So it's bogus, man. I mean, you're not allowed to add new lessons to an existing television series. So I stopped doing it. I stopped. But I left my MBA, or my entire MBA one course, my 7 or 8 hour program up on Amazon. So it's still there. And I get a lot of people that watch it on Prime. Yeah. All right. Great. And I actually have to wrap up this call. I'm so sorry, but I've got office hours with my gold and platinum MBA degree students now. So I know there's a lot more questions. I'm sorry, I won't be able to get to them. If you want, you can. If there are questions about the MBA program, you can join me tomorrow. It starts at 11 a.m. Hear the details here, and ask them then, or you can just copy your questions and ask me again next week. God bless y'all. Have a very healthy and safe Thanksgiving for those of you that celebrate Thanksgiving. And I'll see you all every day at 9 a.m. because that's when my vlog drops. You can subscribe to me on YouTube. If not, I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Otherwise, God bless you all. Have a healthy, happy, safe weekend. And I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday forever, starting at 8 a.m. My time. Thank you.